country's correctional services authorities. This after the Cape Town Mayor, Jordan Hill-Lewis, has reignited a long-standing debate over criminal activity emanating from the country's prisons. And this happened following a life-threatening extortion call to a city contractor allegedly made by a known gangster from within Paulsmoor prison. In response, Jordan Hill-Lewis is calling for urgent implementation of cell phone signal blocking technology, stating that it is unacceptable for inmates to run extortion rings from behind bars. The Department of Correctional Services is not at all averse to the whole idea. In fact, a couple of days ago, Singabakho Nxumalo telling me that they had been exploring this whole idea, just trying to see how they can localize the jamming of the signal to correctional facilities without affecting such services as emergency services and ability to communicate in the immediate vicinity of those correctional services. So at about 10 to 7, I'll be in conversation with Jordan Hill-Lewis to just explore further that idea of signal jamming around correctional facilities. And lastly, here we go again. Could we be headed for another Bafana Bafana dance in Bombela kind of moment? I'm not laughing, I promise you. It's incredulity. It's when I can't believe we are here. Anyway, could we be headed for another Bafana Bafana dance in Bombela kind of moment? Remember that infamous dance in 2011? When Bafana Bafana players thought they had done enough to qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations, but then it turned out the head honchos out at Safa had not done the calculations properly, and we hadn't in fact qualified. Well, we are once again holding our collective breath as a nation as far as Bafana Bafana is concerned. It's the kind of blunder that could, possibly cost Bafana Bafana quite dearly in their World Cup qualification campaign. FIFA has ruled that midfielder Teboho Mokoena was ineligible to play in the country's qualifier against Lesotho back in March, turning that 2-0 win against Lesotho into a 3-0 defeat. The sanction slashes Bafana's points tally from 17 to 14, and it drops them into a tense dogfight with Benin and Nigeria for the only ticket to North America 2026. So at about 20 to 7, I'll be in conversation with Nkululeko Nkewu, co-founder of Itiski Media, to unpack it all. All of your regulars locked and loaded once again this morning. So we've started it, we've revved it a few times, it's idled for a little bit. So what are we waiting for? Let's put it in gear and get going this morning.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
Big stories of the day. #The Morning Brief.
All right, kicking us off as always, Melissa Buta with the Morning Brief in brief. Good morning to you, Melissa. Let's start with, this is a story that resonated with South Africans when it was playing itself out and has continued to resonate even beyond. We field calls on the story almost every other day here on the show. Tell me what the latest is coming from the SAPS around the police officers that died in the Henops River.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. The investigation into the death of 3 young constables who were found in the Henops River earlier this year remains ongoing. Police say the case is receiving focused attention from both the SAPS and private experts. While preliminary post-mortem reports have been received, final toxicology, histology, and blood alcohol results are still pending. Police spokesperson Brigadier Asvenda Mate emphasized that the investigation's outcome depends on all expert findings and no timeline has been made for the conclusion. So we will have to wait and see, unfortunately, what this results in.
Yeah, hopefully they will come back to us, because people want to know. There's a sense about closure that people have about this particular story. Here's something you don't see every day. Key performance management and consequence, meeting out of consequences in the political arena, or is it?
Well, ex-NSA leader Herman Mashaba has confirmed the removal of 7 Johannesburg councillors along with 4 others from Ekurhuleni and Tshwane for failing to meet performance targets which were set in 2023. Mashaba said some councillors didn't even achieve 10% of their KPIs. He emphasized the importance of accountability and announced that underperforming councillors will be replaced with more active members. The move comes amid public complaints and ahead of the 2026 local elections. Action SA is expected to announce its Ekurhuleni mayoral candidate soon, but is not yet ready to reveal candidates for Johannesburg or Tshwane. So it is interesting to see the moves that Action SA is making ahead of the elections next year.
And I wonder how long before allegations about factionalism start creeping up, to explain what has been happening in that party. But anyway, let's wait and see. Let's talk education. Tell me what the Gauteng Department of Education is saying about the school nutrition program.
So the Gauteng Department of Education has reported that there is increased pressure on its extended national school nutrition program due to a growing number of vulnerable pupils in traditionally fee-paying, which are known as quintile 4 and 5 schools. This rise is linked to worsening socio-economic conditions affecting families. Unlike the national program, which supports non-fee schools, which are known as quintiles 1, 2, and 3, the education department's extended nutritional program is one that's provincially funded and now faces funding strain and payment delays to service providers. The government is also reviewing the school quintile system to better reflect current economic realities. And we've seen the issues that this particular program has faced throughout this year. So this is quite a sad story indeed. And
SANParks is keeping an eye and deploying its resources towards a fire that's out in Camps Bay?
Yes, so SANParks has deployed around 50 firefighters to battle a wildfire near the pipe track in Camps Bay, fueled by strong winds from the 12th Apostles mountain range. A helicopter from George joined the efforts in the afternoon yesterday to assist with water bombing. While the fire is not yet under control, no evacuations have been ordered. Authorities are working to prevent the blaze from reaching residential areas. So we will have to look closely at this one and see how the efforts work out for the area.
Yeah. All right, Melissa, thank you for that. Melissa Puta with the Morning Brief in brief.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
On the weather front, here's how it's looking. You've got one warning that has come through from the South African Weather Service. It's a yellow level 2 warning, and it says disruptive rainfall leading to localized flooding of susceptible formal and informal settlements or roads, low-lying areas and bridges, minor motor vehicle accidents due to slippery roads and or reduced visibility. Those conditions are expected over the northern parts of Limpopo. The rest of your weather, in fact, let me give you advisories. They're saying that hot and uncomfortable conditions are expected over the western parts of the Northern Cape and Western Cape on Tuesday today. Extremely hot conditions are expected over the extreme western parts of the Northern Cape and northwestern parts of the Western Cape also for today. And then lastly, strong northwesterly winds can be expected in places over the central parts of the Northern Cape, eastern parts of the Western Cape, and the western interior of the Eastern Cape on Wednesday, that is tomorrow. The rest of your weather, Pretoria, will be cloudy with a minimum of 13 and a maximum of 22. Johannesburg, cloudy, 10 to 20. Vereeniging, partly cloudy, 12 to 20. Mbombela, cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 13 to 16. Polokwane, cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 10 to 19. Mahikeng, partly cloudy, 14 to 26. Bloemfontein, partly cloudy, 11 to 25. Kimberley, partly cloudy and windy, 12 to 26. Uppington, partly cloudy and windy, 16 to 29. Cape Town will be fine with a minimum of 13 and a maximum of 33. George, fine, 10 to 25. Gqeberha, partly cloudy, 11 to 23. East London, partly cloudy, 15 to 21. Durban, cloudy with scattered showers and rain, 17 to 20. Richards Bay, cloudy with scattered showers and rain, 15 to 20. And lastly, Pietermaritzburg will be cloudy with isolated showers and rain with a minimum of 9 and a maximum of 16.
AFCON Under-20 champions Amachita are ready to play their hearts out to secure 3 vital points. Meanwhile, Team USA want to demonstrate a superior game plan. Africa confronts North America. This is the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. South Africa clashes with the United States of America on Sunday, 5 October at 10 p.m. Live on SABC 1, SABC Plus, SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
22 minutes after 6. The clock is ticking with the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, set to expire at midnight tonight after 25 years of duty-free trade between the United States and Sub-Saharan Africa. The non-renewal of AGOA would hit countries like Lesotho, Madagascar, Botswana and Chad especially hard, wiping out gains in textiles, agriculture and manufacturing. South Africa could lose more than 35,000 jobs in its citrus sector alone, while Madagascar faces a crippling 47% tariff on its vanilla and textiles. African leaders, including President Cyril Ramaphosa, are urging Washington to extend AGOA, arguing that its collapse would undermine decades of progress and vital partnerships with U.S. investors. Let's speak to Donald McKay. He is CEO of XA Global Trade Advisors and joins me now on the line. Good morning to you, Donald, and thank you for your time. Recap for us. There's a sense about, the significance of the moment, 25 years of AGOA, that the implications are quite significant. So recap for us, why is this a significant moment if AGOA, if there's no pathway towards renewing AGOA?
Well, I think, good morning. I think the problem is potentially serious. I think it's less serious for South Africa than for many other African states like Lesotho. But we should remember that AGOA gives a preference on the normal duties into the US. So these new duties, these Liberation Day tariffs, completely and utterly overwhelm any benefits that AGOA was providing. So let me put this into some numbers for you. The average benefit South Africa received for trade into the US under AGOA was 3.5%, and the rand value of that was about 1.9 billion rand a year. Our Liberation Day tariffs are 30%. So it simply completely overwhelms everything. With countries like Lesotho, the benefit was larger because they could send textile products in under AGOA, which we could not do. But again, they are now sitting with a 15% tariff. So losing AGOA under normal circumstances would not have been great. But to be honest with you, losing AGOA is not going to really make a difference when you're facing a 30% tariff as we are at the moment.
Yeah, so the situation has already been undermined, all of the progress of the last 25 years. If I hear you correctly, you're saying the tariffs that are in place, the so-called Liberation Day reciprocal, quote-unquote reciprocal tariffs have already undermined any gains that we had around AGOA.
Yes, completely.
So recap for us then the history of AGOA and what we've been able to achieve, what various countries have been able to achieve over the last 25 years.
So South Africa, by a fairly large margin, has been the largest beneficiary. By that I mean we sent the most product in and secured the largest amounts of benefits. But we're a large economy in Africa. The real benefit went to countries like Lesotho, where it's a small economy. Their exports are about limited to diamonds and textiles, and being able to get their textiles into the US duty-free versus, I think it was 16.5% that they would have paid without AGOA, was enormous. So even though the kind of dollar value of the benefit was much smaller for Lesotho, as a percentage of their economy, it was a far greater effect. The original thinking behind AGOA, at least in theory, was that aid was considerably less effective into Africa. Lots of corruption, etc., was involved in that space. The thinking was that if you opened the U.S. market to more African countries, it would have greater benefits than simply giving cash. And to a degree, that worked. But AGOA was always a political tool, a soft power tool, if you like, of the U.S. And so they could always take away these benefits if they wanted. So it was certainly not an uncomplicated program. It was certainly not just a clear win, but it definitely made a difference to particularly the smaller economies in Africa.
All right, let's see if there are any conversations that may lead to some kind of a pathway for its renewal. Certainly the Lesotho Minister of Trade expressing some optimism a couple of days ago. Thank you for your time this morning. That is Donald McKay. He is CEO of XA Global Trade Advisors.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning to you, Zai. So we are going to appeal, are we?
Oh, yes.
Is it an Asia? You know what, Zai? No,
the irony.
This is no laughing matter, actually, on a serious note.
Safa says they're appealing, but there's nothing appealing about this right now because tripping over our own shoelaces. Come on. Well, this is because now they've fielded an ineligible player during their World Cup match, and that was the qualifier in Lesotho in March. Midfielder Teboho Mokoena, who should have been suspended after picking up 2 yellow cards earlier in the campaign, featured in that match. That South Africa won 2-0. FIFA has now overturned the result, awarding Lesotho a 3-0 victory. Safa insists the process was unfair and says it will take the matter to the FIFA Appeals Committee within the required 10-day period. Meanwhile, Bafana coach Hugo Broos' men must win their final 2 qualifiers against Lesotho and Zimbabwe, and that's in October, to keep their World Cup hopes in their own hands. Let's hear from SABC sports journalist Velile Mnyandu.
We dropped down to the second spot, still equal on 14 points. With Benin, who now have a superior goal difference. They are on +4 or on +3, but I think for me the saving grace is that we are playing our last 2 matches against Zimbabwe and Rwanda at home. And Benin, who are not good travelers, have to travel to Rwanda and also to Nigeria. I still feel we've got that slight advantage of having our own fate in our own hands, because all we need to do is to win both matches and make sure that we outscore Benin.
In the meantime, South Africa's Amajita kicked off their 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup campaign with a spirited display, but they were edged 2-1 by the tournament favourites France in Chile last night. Rugby, Springbok captain Siya Kolisi echoing the praise and commending Feinberg Ngomezulu's composure and leadership on the field. Despite his young age, Kolisi says the fly half's brilliance was clear, and it's also about the Springboks' unity and belief that carried them to victory.
It was amazing. Not just in the way he scored tries and all those kind of. I think the way he controlled the game, control and balance, and I think the guys around him, as coach said, helped him a lot in making decisions. But I think when we click as a team, every single player, within our system is able to show who they are, and that's what the coaches always speak to us about. They pick us for a certain reason. We all have point of difference, and one of his is running with the ball.
And finally, South African road running star Kabelo Mulotsi says 2025 has been the best year of his career after achieving remarkable milestones on the road and cross country. He etched his name in history by winning 4 consecutive APSA Run Your City 10-kilometer races, and he also holds the national 5-kilometer crown.
It was the best season ever in my life. To win 4 victories in a row. It was a good season for me. I'm very happy. I don't know what to say. I'd like to say thank to my coach, my club, Boxaisi, and my sponsor, and my family and friends for the support. It's been a good season for me.
We'll be sprinting with more sport. Top of the hour, I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says it's concerning that some individuals would consider looting funds intended for essential health services, given the crisis the healthcare sector is facing. His remarks come after the Special Investigating Unit released a report into corruption and maladministration at the Tembisa Hospital east of Johannesburg. Advocate Matthew Chaskelson has been appointed as the new Chief Evidence Leader of the Matlanga Commission. This follows reports that Chief Evidence Leader Terry Mutau requested to step down from the Commission. And a Nigerian man who was deported from the US to Ghana has told the BBC that he and 6 others were secretly transported to Togo by Ghanaian authorities. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Yeah, very good morning. A couple of big issues around Joburg. One is the N3 running north. The roadworks are still there at Buccleuch. It's a double-lane closure and traffic already backlogging deep through Limborough Park back in towards Alex. A load of traffic lights out over 4 ways. Winnie Mandela and the N1, Winnie Mandela Monte Casino, and a couple out on the Vic Coppin Road as you go between sort of 4 ways and Paulshof this morning. It's about 3 big lights down there at Monte Casino at Main, and also the junction with Cambridge Road as well on that Paulshof side. That'll be slow. The other big story is the closure of the Soweto Highway. Soweto Highway's open, but it's Main Reef Road option between Soweto Highway and Main Reef Road that's closed on Canada Road. Canada Road is closed. It looks like the N17 coming out of Soweto is also closed as well. So protesting in Pennyvale or Pennyville area this morning. That's where the protesters are. And as we look at our sort of live maps, there's a whole pile-up of traffic behind that Soweto Highway, Klipspruit Valley, that traffic circle in Soweto heavily backed up. And just repeating there, the N17 outbound, Canada Road outbound from Soweto, both of those routes looking closed this morning. Durban, a stationary vehicle on the way inbound by Paradise Valley. A crash at the Spaghetti Junction, N2 going southbound. All lanes are open, but watch for slowing traffic coming from Umgena Road side. And Cape Town this morning, pretty heavy on the N1. It's a breakdown before Sable Road. Traffic parking all the way back through to Plattercliff Hill. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Let's say good morning to Ndauling Lechela for the first update of the morning. Ndauling, let's start in China, where things are starting to look up as far as manufacturing is concerned, you tell us.
That's right, Tula. So China's manufacturing sector showing signs of stabilizing this month. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the PMI edged up to 49.8 points. This figure, while still below the 50-point threshold that separates expansion from contraction, was slightly better than economists' expectations of 49.6 and marked the strongest reading since March. Now, the official gauge has remained in contraction since April as factories had to contend with weak local demand and higher U.S. tariffs that have dampened exports. Now, non-manufacturing activity also softened, with the state services and construction index slipping to 52.9 points from 53 in August. Investors now await October's Politburo meeting, which could provide direction on Beijing's policy response to the third quarter slowdown. Chief economist at Pinpoint Asset Management, Zhui Zhang, said authorities may be comfortable with some declaration in the second half, provided the economy still needs to meet the 5% annual growth target.
Are you much of a gamer, Dowling?
Not really. Are you?
Yeah, only when I'm stressed. I find that only when I'm really stressed, like when I'm writing.
This is interesting
exams.
for you then.
This is interesting for me. Well, in that sense, only when I'm stressed. Tell me about EA Sport going private. They're delisting.
That's right, Silas. In a big M&A activity, EA Sports is set to be taken private in a $55 billion buyout after striking an agreement with an investor group anchored by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. Now, the package combines $36 billion in cash, public investment funds' existing stake in the gaming giant, and $20 billion in JP Morgan arranged debt. Shareholders are being offered $210 per share, about a quarter more than EA's stock price before deal talks leaked. For Public Investment Fund, the acquisition is a bet on the staying power of EA's franchises, and as the fund doubles down on its ambition to turn Saudi Arabia into a hub for both sports and gaming. Now, the transaction also revives a type of mega leveraged buyout not seen since before the 2008 financial crisis. And let's say it could mark a turning point for private equity, which has been quiet on large-scale deals in recent years due to high interest rates. Now, going private could give EA more leeway to pursue long-term investments and bold bets that public markets have shunned.
Lastly, Ndauling, recap for us how we closed yesterday and how we are opening this morning.
The U.S. market started the week on a high with stocks in positive territory overnight. This was fueled by the EA Sports takeover and a rebound in Nvidia. The Nasdaq leading the gains in that region, closing 0.48% higher. Moving over to the JSE, local markets in the green on the back of the higher gold price, the all share ending 0.5% higher, and the gold rally also fueling the local currency, with the rand at 17.27 to the greenback this morning. On to other commodities, oil tanking as another anticipated production increase by OPEC Plus reinforced the outlook for a looming supply surplus. Brent is sitting below $67 per barrel this hour. And lastly, in Asia, markets are mixed with traders there digesting PMI figures out from China.
All right. We'll talk to you again in the second hour of the show. That's Ndauling Lechela, back with another update just after 7:30.
Africa Update on SAFM.
Let's say good morning to Advocate Sipho Mantula. Raz, let's start in Antananarivo. It's the Andre Rajolina method. You fire the energy minister, and if that doesn't work, you dissolve the entire government.
Fresh morning, Thulas and Jumbo Africa to the listeners. Indeed, Thulas, but there is a conflicting report, Thulas. The UN Human Rights Office confirming 22 people who have died compared to yesterday when you said 5 and over 100 people injured. And as you said, he has already put his government aside on this issue of the protest around the rolling blackouts and water shortages. But here's another trigger to us. These young people are said they are inspired by the Gen Z movement in Kenya and Nepal. And that's how the president yesterday went on TV to say he do comprehend with the anger, the sorrow, and challenges that the young people are facing. But it seems that this is the call that has been coming from the youth of Madagascar to us, inspired, like I said, by Nepal, also as Kenya. But dissolving the government, it means that he has to reboot and rearrange his cabinet as well as his parliament.
Then tell me about what's coming out of Cameroon. The race to 12 October has well and truly begun, has it?
Indeed, Thulas. We will be doing the countdown starting tomorrow. It's 12 candidates, 12 October 2025, Thulas. It might end or extend the presidency of Paul Biya, who will be in power for 43 years so far, Thulas, but he will be going for another term at the age of 82. Those who are contesting, the former Minister of Tourism, Bello Boba, is one of the ex-tourism ministers who has started his campaign in Douala. I saw the youngest one, Thulas, they call him Cabral Libi at the age of 45. He's a renowned journalist there. He finished third in the 2018 presidential elections. He said, we want a new person as a head of state because since he was born, I have only known one president, that is Paul Biya. So this candidate, is one of the people who will be contesting for these elections in Cameroon. Like I said, 12 October, 12 presidential candidates to us will be starting tomorrow to give an update about Cameroon in Yaoundé.
Yeah. An item of environmental law and environmental news making headlines out in Zambia.
That's quite true. Even if Dauleng left with a Chinese positive story and bringing a negative story about the Chinese Thulas, a company, as you said, environmental compliance, there is a lawsuit Thulas that has been lodged against this company, call it Sino Metals Leach in Zambia, for what they call the massive toxic spill from its mining waste dam that is now contaminating the land and the water. Now the farmers, 50 farmers in Zambia, Thulas, are asking for $220 million from this SML company. But this company rejects this lawsuit, Thulas, claiming that they have fulfilled its rehabilitation and restoration obligation in line with the Zambian government. But let the court decide. To us, they might say what they say, but it is important, like you said, it's a very grey area in law when you think of, environmental law as well as heritage impact assessment, pollution. How does it affect even the land, and also health hazard? Because some of these toxics, they are causing cancer and birth defects for young people.
Lastly, Sipho, your historical archive takes us to 30 September 1966, a pivotal moment for the country. Botswana yabo Akhesan.
We are still in the Heritage Month. What will you call Independence Day in their language, Tulas? Independence Day in Setswana?
Now you're testing my...
So today, Botswana, they are saying Raipusa, remove Ipuso. We are ruling ourselves, we are governing ourselves, we are independent. It's almost 59 years to us. We know Kgosi Seresakama was the leader who was leading Botswana when they were liberated from Britain in 1966. Now, very important to us that we know Duma Boko yesterday gave him a public holiday. Even today, there's a public holiday in Gaborone, Lobatse, or Francistown. There are many places when you think of Botswana to us, but they are celebrating the 59 years today under the new leadership of Duma Gideon Boko. As always, we'll call him, it is the boy's mind from Gaborone. Asante sana Thulas, as we are sealing the Heritage Month.
Pula, we say to the people of Botswana. Thank you for that. That's Sipho Mantula there with your Africa update for today.
You are listening to the Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
All right, let me take a quick call from Londi in Joburg. Londi, good morning to you. You want to weigh in on the Safa situation?
Morning, Ngoni. Yes, maybe this is a great opportunity for us to have another Madlanga-style commission on the shenanigans at Safa and the strange leadership that we are consistently seeing from Safa. Let me put it this way. You can make a mistake, I can make a mistake, and it's common cause. For instance, the way this situation has played out, we know we are guilty, right? So good leadership would say, we made a mistake and we assume they made a mistake. Maybe they are corrupt, maybe they did this on purpose, but we assume it was a mistake. If it was a mistake, we made a mistake, we've been sanctioned, we take it, we move on. What are you appealing when the case is so open? Uput Velile explained there's a precedent before. There are other countries that have been sanctioned for the same thing. So what are we appealing? So I think for me the worry is it speaks to the level of leadership at Safa. And maybe it's a great opportunity for us to actually look deeper into the leadership at Safa.
Londi, thank you for that. Let me move on and go straight then to Nkululeko Nkewu, who is co-founder of Idiski Media. Good morning to you, Nkululeko. So you heard there the caller Londi talking about, perhaps we can touch on that a bit later on, about how we move forward from here. But how did we get here in the first place? How does a 2-0 win end up being a 3-0 loss?
Morning to the season, morning to your listeners as well. I think we spoke about this over the past 12 months to try and provide context and speculate on whether or not we're going to get deducted 3 points. The uniqueness of the scenario needs to be taken into consideration, which is not to provide an excuse for someone not doing their job. Normally, football matches have fixtures, and the fixtures have a logical sequencing. You play this team in this competition, and then maybe next month you continue with that competition with another fixture. There were 7 months between 2 fixtures of the World Cup qualifiers. In between those, there were 11 matches of other competitions played by Bafana Bafana, including an African Cup of Nations competition. Now, with the yellow cards and suspensions, it does get difficult to track which competition someone is suspended from, because normally a competition, an MTN 8 will be, we're playing this week, maybe in 2 weeks' time we'll continue with the MTN 8, and maybe we'll play a final 3 weeks from then. It's very abnormal for a competition to have 2 fixtures played 7 months apart, whilst there were other competitions played in between. 11 matches and 7 months in between. So that's the context in which where that happens. That does not excuse people not doing their job properly, but it's a unique scenario. You play a Betway Premiership this week, you play it again next week. You don't play Betway Premiership this week and then play it next year whilst having played the UEFA Champions League in between and another competition in between. So that's where the confusion would have happened.
But I guess, Nkululeko, I guess a lot of people are wondering, shouldn't Safa have some official or a couple of officials responsible? I don't know what the title is. You call them compliance and disciplinary matters coach or officer for this and that. They have a dashboard of all the players, and they can, move little blue, green, yellow, red pieces around a board somewhere. It just feels like administratively someone should be keeping track of how many points do we need for that competition, what player has what caution, what player is coming back from suspension, etc.
Yeah, in 2012 we suffered the same fate of managers, because normally a team manager, and if we staff him, if there's a budget to give him maybe 3 or 4 other people working for him as assistants, we would have averted a problem that we faced in 2012 of not understanding the rules, who is suspended, who is not suspended. So yes, in hindsight, yes, there should be a dashboard that triggers, if someone is suspended, maybe it automatically flashes or it automatically sends messages to the coaches, the assistant coaches, including the managers. Maybe there should be such a system. However, on a week-to-week or a month-to-month basis, this is a unique scenario that we're not always going to be facing, because there's no competition that has 7 months apart from one another, and this unique situation happens sometimes with the World Cup qualifiers, because we play 3 matches in World Cup qualifiers, and then we go on to play AFCON qualifiers, friendly matches in between, and then we come back 7 months later. I'm not saying that someone did not do their job. I'm not saying that someone must be excused for not doing their job properly, and I can see that there's a hysteria for people, heads must roll and the manager must be fired. But if we don't understand how much understaffed the manager is, if he has to book hotels and so on and so forth, maybe he has so much work in front of him that that's the last thing he would have noticed. So it maybe means that there should be some sort of inquiry, not at a larger scale from a governmental point of view, but within Safa to say what happened. Do we have people understaffed, and why are they understaffed? Do we not have a budget? Why do we not have a budget?
So do you have your calculator with you, Nkululeko? take out your calculator now. Tell us, where does this leave us in relation to us playing in North America 2026?
Benin are the group leaders because of the 3 points deduction. Although we are appealing, Benin are the group leaders. Fortunately for us, Nigeria also have a dog in this fight, so Benin will play Nigeria in the last 2 matches. So one of them is going to cancel each other out. Nigeria are slightly stronger than Benin historically. And if they beat Benin, they will kind of do the job for us. What we need to do to not complicate this is to beat the next teams in front of us. We beat Zimbabwe, we beat Rwanda, and we will qualify for the World Cup, which is obviously hoping that Benin slips up against Nigeria. If they don't, then we need to win by maybe 3-0 against Zimbabwe, 3-0 against Rwanda. Normally, that will give us a safe space to say, okay, we are qualified. However, that's not simple, of course. We need to pitch up and we need to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat. And sometimes that's a little bit complicated because Zimbabwe will be motivated. Although they are playing for nothing, they will achieve nothing in these group stages, because they are already out of the qualification anyways, mathematically. The other way to qualify would be if we win those 2 matches and somehow Benin also wins their 2 matches. There are 4 teams who can who will play a playoff on the basis that they are the best number 2s in the groups. So if we collect 6 points from the next 2 matches, and we qualify as one of the best number 2s, that will then mean that we'll play a playoff with 3 other teams. It will be like a semi-final, final, and then one of those teams will go to the World Cup. So we've made our work very, very difficult for ourselves.
So basically, Nkululeko, very quickly, we are saying win both our remaining matches and then root for Nigeria when they play Benin.
100%. With all the distaste we have for Nigeria and the social media fights we have for Nigeria, suddenly we're going to have to don the green and white.
Gotcha. All right, thank you for that. Nkululeko Nkewu is co-founder of Itiski Media.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
A couple of big important announcements on the traffic side this morning. Soweto closed down from Soweto Circle onwards because of protesting. So Canada Road coming out of Soweto from Soweto Highway closed to Main Reef, and the N17 closed from Soweto Circle up towards the M1 Highway. There's terrific pressure behind that on routes like Klipstroud Valley Road and the Soweto Highway coming into that area. Other issues this morning, the roadworks on the N3 north of Buccleuch are still there. Crash going into Pinetown on the M7, St John's Avenue Bridge. That's heavy from North D. There's also a crash on the N2 south before Spaghetti Junction. Heavy pressure all the way back to Umgedi Road. And Cape Town, a breakdown M1 inbound at Sable Road, pushing a heavy backlog to Plattercliff Hill. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
All right, let me go to this story now that I've been telling you about with the Mayor of Cape Town, Jordan Hill-Lewis. It all has to do with him igniting this long-standing debate over criminal activity emanating from South African prisons. This follows a life-threatening extortion call to a city contractor allegedly made by a known gangster from within Paulsmoor prison. In response, Jordan Hill-Lewis now calling for urgent implementation of cell phone signal blocking technology. He says that it is unacceptable for inmates to be running extortion rings from behind bars. Let me see if I have Jordan Hill-Lewis. Jordan, good morning and thank you for your time. So tell me about the... All right, it seems I don't have Jordan Hill-Lewis on the line. Let me take a quick break, recalibrate and come back.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
I mean, I just got a message here, which I think this is asked and answered because it's South African Sign Language. There's no like Tswana sign or Venda sign, which is what the message is. Can one sign in indigenous language just like Venda and Tswana and no?
Okay, when we're interpreting on telly, we're interpreting actually for people who tune in from KZN, Limpopo, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, and they would all understand us because sign language is just one South African sign language which incorporates basically all South African languages, so that anyone, whether you are Venda speaking, Xhosa speaking, you would understand, because sign language is just one language, because we have to make sure that it's accessible for all.
Fortune Madlala and of course Umpo Teme.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let me take a call from Maxwell in Tshwane. Good morning to you, Maxwell.
Good morning, Thulas, and thanks for taking my call.
Sure, talk to me.
Thulas, the minute we start romanticizing the situation at the Safa house with Safa, that's where we lost everything. The person who needed to check the whole situation is a team manager.
Yeah.
And that team manager is still at work today. So there's no accountability in South African football. We are where we are because of that blunder. And it's not the first time and it's not the last. So the only way that needs to happen now, Bafana Bafana needs to win all their remaining games. Simple as that, then will qualify, of which it will be a huge mountain to climb. The most deciding game that will be on Tuesday against Burundi in Bombela and Zimbabwe at home. It will be very interesting to watch that game, but we need accountability from the South African football about what happened. Who was supposed to check the players if you've got 2 or 3? Look, honestly, Thulas, but if you want to say, oh, this and this happened 2012, whatever, it will still happen even 2030. And my last point, let AGOA expire and go, because at the end of the day, those tariffs means nothing. Even the AGOA is still around. That's my take.
Gotcha. Maxwell, thank you for that. That's Maxwell out in Tshwane, just giving his take on 2 issues at least. Let me play a voice note also on Safa, because it's sort of linked, before I move on to Arthur Opongolo. Let me play this one that also weighs in on the situation at the South African Football Association. Okay, what's happening? No? All right. Okay, we'll come back to that. Arthur, good morning to you.
Good morning to listen, EFF and Dudula.
Yes, please go ahead.
You see, to us about what is happening at the commission,
the Madlanga Commission, yes.
It's so disappointing because of, in the sense that it happened not because the cartels are existing, have got power. It happened because the unions, the unions have got the power to enable corruption and stop corruption. If their presence is to exist just to silence whistleblowers, because when the whistleblowers unions are the people who work with people on the ground level, they identify this one is coming for you to know. They report.
Sorry, Arthur, I think you're moving your phone a little bit, so please hold it steady and make that point again. Sorry, I'm battling to hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying the reason why we have problems of that cartels that are being damning in this Madlanga Commission is because of the unions. The presence of the unions is not there just to assist employees now. They is there just to help cartels to exist in all organizations. You go to Transnet, you go to any department, unions are there to silence whistleblowers. And if there is a whistleblower that is being killed, it's because he was being pointed by unions. Unions are working with the cartels. That is the reason why.
Really? Do you really believe that, though, Arthur? Because in terms of the people that are being identified that were colluding with the cartels in the Gauteng Department of Health, many of them will be officials, some of them at middle and senior management level, in their capacity as managers that sit in on these bid specification, bid adjudication, bid evaluation committees, and are just responsible for procurement. I don't know how the union comes into that.
Unions are recessive. Why they are not picking up the corruption? At Transnet, I was there at Transnet when I questioned that why in Transnet they have got a manager who is running the terminal port of Richards Bay who don't have qualification, who has got grade 11, grade 9. When I did that, they ran away from me. They just charged me with not attending training.
I hear
unions were there.
Sure, I hear you. But maybe then the unions are useless and therefore will be punished by their members cancelling their subscriptions. But I don't know if there's a direct correlation between their uselessness and, the kind of criminal activity we are seeing. Sure, maybe it leads to them not being able to play their role and detecting it. But I don't know if you can hold them responsible for it.
I can. Look at this now. There is no unions who have just come out and say, especially in the SAPS, they have not just come up and have any weight. Why they are silent? To Tembisa issue, the greatest woman was killed, and the unions never just take anything to say, we are in support. We want just that this day of killing of Babina to be declared as a holiday of whistleblowing. Nobody is telling that. Unions are there. They are responsible for that.
All right. Arthur, thank you for that. That's Arthur Opongolo. Bringing us to 7 a.m. Let's go to N. Musa, who is on standby with the latest news.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, Motsoaledi expresses concern over looting of healthcare sector funds and 2 Northwest boys to appear in court for alleged rape. Good morning. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says it's concerning that some individuals would consider looting funds intended for essential health services, given the crisis the healthcare sector is facing. His remarks come after the Special Investigating Unit released a report into corruption and maladministration at the Tembisa Hospital east of Johannesburg. The SIU says about 2 billion rand has been lost to tender irregularities and fraud at the hospital. The report also identified 3 major syndicates involved in the corruption scandal, each with assets worth millions of rand. Motsoaledi says it's inhumane that some individuals would compromise the health of others for luxury items.
We have been knowing, of course, that there was corruption. It's not that we expected anything else. But the sheer wastefulness of it, where a person steals money to go and buy a string of Lamborghinis and all the other luxurious cars you can ever get in the market. What do you do with such cars? What type of human being are you? What are you gaining from having a string of Lamborghinis and all the other cars and properties?
Advocate Matthew Chaskelson has been appointed as the new Chief Evidence Leader of the Madlanga Commission. This follows reports that Chief Evidence Leader Terry Mutau requested to step down from the Commission, which is probing criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system. The Commission will continue this morning with Crime Intelligence Head General Dumisani Kumalo continuing with his evidence. Sibatle Mota reports.
While speculation remains high over Advocate Mutau's departure and the reasons behind it, the Madlanga Commission has also remained mum. However, proceedings will continue on Tuesday morning, where General Kumalo will proceed with his testimony on the criminal cartel that has infiltrated the criminal justice system. General Kumalo has already testified in the commission that police are investigating 3 other cartel bosses after cracking down on 2 other members, namely Vusi Kedmatlala and Katiso KT Mulife.
The Howick Magistrates Court in KwaZulu-Natal is today expected to hand down a ruling in the bail application of Chief Simphiwe Zuma, accused of killing the Democratic Alliance's Umgeni Chief Whip Nhlalayenza Ndlovu. Zuma is one of the 5 suspects linked to Ndlovu's murder. He was gunned down at his home in December 2023. Zuma, whose Ndlovu's uncle was arrested, together with 26-year-old Thabo Matonzi Ngqongqo in July. Zuma faces 2 other murder charges, murder cases in 2 separate incidents. 2 Northwest learners aged 11 and 13 are expected to appear at the Themba Magistrates Court today on a charge of rape. Provincial police and education authorities have confirmed the incident. It's alleged a grade 5 learner was allegedly raped by 2 boys at a school outside of Hammanskraal. Education Department spokesperson Vuyo Mantsule says the incident was witnessed by fellow learners at the school.
The alleged sexual activity between a grade 5 learner and 2 males learners occurred on school premises after school hours in Matseko Primary School. The incident was witnessed by other learners and subsequently reported to the school support-based team. The school responded by notifying the social worker, contacting parents and guardians, and initiating a psychosocial support. The learners involved admitted to the activity during an SGM meeting. The girl learner was taken for medical examination and Form 22 was submitted to the social worker.
And finally, a Nigerian man who was deported from the US to Ghana has told the BBC that he and 6 others were secretly transported to Togo by Ghanaian authorities. The man said they were abandoned at the Ghana-Togo border without documentation. The BBC's Thoma Nade has the details.
The Nigerian deportee, who wishes to remain anonymous, said they are stuck in a hotel in Togo where the lack of documentation and language barrier have made life unbearable. The deportees are pursuing separate lawsuits against the Ghanaian government and the Trump administration for rights violations. The U.S. government's third-party deportation policy has faced criticism, with several countries pushing back against the strategy.
Recapping the top story, Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says it's concerning that some individuals would consider looting funds intended for essential health services, given the crisis the healthcare sector is facing. His remarks come after the Special Investigating Unit released a report into corruption and maladministration at the Tembisa Hospital, east of Johannesburg. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
You are the poster child, the biggest saver we've ever had.
I decided that I would contact Outsurance and let them work out what they could do for me.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, big saving. 2,794 Rand a month.
That's over 33,000 Rand a year.
And it was the easiest switch ever. Real people helping real people get real deals.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, soccer, it's the World Cup hopes dented for South Africa, who are now level with Benin on 14 points. And we bring you the latest from the Japan Open. Carlos Alcaraz is through to the final, where he'll take on Taylor Fritz. Details just before 7:30.
SAFM. Guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Top story is the major disruption around the Soweto traffic circle, top end of Soweto. Now, your exits from the area of both Canada Road and the N17 have both been closed due to protesting, burning tyres by a community up around the Pennyville area. So what that's doing is causing a major backlog coming up Klipspruit Valley from the stadium side. Also, Soweto Highway getting through the circle. It's all very heavily backed up, and others just having to sit on the Soweto Highway and exit out towards the M1 bridge. There's a lot of congestion there. Back behind that, Meadowlands is quite busy as well this morning, so major disruption there. Staying south, coming in on the N12 from Malaysia, a crash as you get through the N1 and turn up to Golden Highway. They call it Dead Men's Bend. From the Golden Highway N12 exit onto the N1, it's all heavy because of that. A lot of pressure around the Crown Interchange. Mike 1 North from Boyson's, M2 from Joe Slovo. Heavy backlogs getting up through to Parktown this morning. And the N3, a crash at Marlborough Drive. Roadworks at Buccleuch. That's heavy. Queues already from the Edenvale area. A busy Tuesday morning start in Durban with a crash on the N2 South before Spaghetti Junction. Traffic's heavy coming down from the Inanda Road side. The northbound is badly backed up as well between the M7 and Umgeni Road. A crash going into Pinetown on the M7, St John's Avenue Bridge territory causing delays. Stapleton Road, some roadworks by Sandy Centre, that's heavy. And the M7 towards the Bluff, big queues from North Dean through to Queensborough side. Cape Town, a breakdown M2 inbound at Khayelitsha, and a breakdown on the M1 before Sable Road, pushing a queue back towards Paddlecliff Hill and Belleville. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
9 minutes after 7. Welcome to it, the second hour of the Morning Brief here on SAFM 104 to 107. What's still to come in this hour, we will be focusing on the revelations coming out of the SIU investigation. They're saying it's an interim report, so it's not even the final report, but already what they've found paints a picture that's much more gloomier than what Babita Deokaran, the late Babita Deokaran, had told us. At that stage, when she was killed, she had flagged about 800 million Rand of procurement as being suspicious around the Tembisa hospital. It turns out the figure involved, actually, in terms of the contracts and transactions and money flow, is no less than 2 billion Rand and still counting. The SIU head, Advocate Andy Motibi, describing it as devastating plunder of the public purse. So that tells you a lot. I mean, I was making the point that, in trying to catch up yesterday, I was listening to the briefing by Advocate Motibi and others, Minister of Health and the Premier of Gauteng, while on the treadmill, and just hoping that I'll be able to, catch up and listen. I could feel myself losing strength And it's not me being lazy or anything and just slacking off while on the treadmill. It was that devastating. It depressed me. I could feel it sucking the energy out of me, completely sucking the energy out of me, because it just felt like, what are we to do with all of these syndicates? We heard about the Maumela Syndicate, the Mazibuko Syndicate, Syndicate X. This at the same time while General Dumisani Khumalo was telling us at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry about the Big Five cartel and syndicates that operate within it. I could feel it sapping the energy out of me. So much at stake for all of us. So I'll be talking to Professor Alex van den Heever in the next few minutes, just reflecting on some of those revelations that we heard yesterday around Tembisa Hospital. And then immediately after that, we are hoping that we'll be able to connect with the Gauteng EFF member, Amelka Baleni, just to get clarity on this, tit-for-tat laying of charges between them and Operation Dudula. So that conversation, we have it penciled in for about 7:20 with Amelka Baleni of the EFF in Gauteng. So hopefully we can connect and get their side of the story and get clarity on what the situation is. In all of this, I want to hear from you. Keep the conversation going on 086 000 2032, or send me a WhatsApp voice note or even a WhatsApp message. I see some of them already coming in and I'll be reading them out a bit later on. The number for that is 0614 104 107. Let's get into it then. The second hour of the Tuesday edition of the Morning Brief.
My name is Jabu Mahlangu, aka Shuffle the Pack, aka 1 hour swing. I start my day with a short prayer. I give hugs to my kids. And I'm very playful. I love all the genre, but Kwaito is number one. Kwaito is our culture. About the late Mandoza, about the late Mapaputsi, and I could relate. And it's in us focus. Ivory Coast for me, it was a beautiful country. I know Utabanye Batande Zindabu Mauritius Nana. This window is a love. SABC Sport, this is the main one. Wonkela Omanyama channel Azalwe because of SABC.
Catch Jabu Shuffle Mahlangu unpacking the beautiful game in a lingo you love on match days. Live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I was recently diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome. Patients like myself go through a long and strenuous journey to get a stem cell transplant. I am grateful for the support I've received as I wait for the call that my donor has been found. This Sunflower Month, be a lifeline to patients like myself by registering to become a stem cell donor. You can save a life by registering at dkmsafrica.org.
Mzansi, Powerball stands at a staggering 100 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Tuesday. You heard right. Play Powerball now for your chance at the guaranteed 100 million rand jackpot, and you could become the next big winner. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
14 minutes after 7. The Special Investigating Unit has described the looting at Tembisa Hospital as a devastating plunder of the public purse, revealing that over 2 billion rand was siphoned off through fraud and corruption. The figure is far higher than initially believed when whistleblower, the late Babita Diokaran, first raised the alarm, a warning that ultimately cost her life. The SIU's interim report details how 3 major syndicates, the Maumela Syndicate, the Mazibuko Syndicate, and Syndicate X, orchestrated the looting with the help of officials from the Gauteng Department of Health as well as Tembisa Hospital. Investigators say luxury cars cars, mansions, and laundered funds were bought with money meant to provide healthcare for the poor. Disciplinary action has already been recommended against implicated officials, but the SIU warns that the full scale of the corruption is still being uncovered. It's a lot to take in. Let's bring in Professor Alex van den Heever, who is the chair of Social Systems Administration and Management at Management Studies at Wits University School of Governance. Prof, good morning and thank you for your time. Your overall impressions, I was saying it was devastating. I could feel it sapping the energy out of me when I was listening to that briefing by Andy Mothibi.
Yes, it's appalling and very concerning, because when you look at the scale of the looting from a single hospital, you have to ask how many people who have not been identified yet have been complicit in this, because it's almost impossible for that amount of money to drift out of a single hospital and not to be noticed by high levels of people within the government, within both the province and national government. All of this information on financial flows, etc., is available all the way up to National Treasury. So I'm really concerned that we've identified low-level officials in Tembisa Hospital who have clearly been bribed to make sure that these transactions go through, and that no delivery has to happen of any products. So it's important to note that was 2 billion rand that went out of that hospital for which nothing was received, and so this is a pure outflow. I feel that it is completely impossible for the senior levels of the Gauteng Department of Health and the province, the provincial government, to have not discovered this, not investigated it themselves and taken internal, normal departmental measures to block it for an extended period of time. And that to me is concerning. And it is concerning that is in itself not mentioned by the SIU.
So talk to me about the system that's making it all possible. There's the system of purchase orders, the 3 quotes system that is used in procurement. And it seems now that's crystallizing into criminal syndicates. I mean, here we're talking about no less than 207 service providers. How are we to arrest all of that when it seems as if it's now crystallizing into something that's more systemic?
Well, the issue is that it was identified by Babita Deokaran. In many cases, it was quite obvious. These companies that were created, these shelf companies, were easily picked up by her centrally within the Gauteng Department of Health. But she wasn't a whistleblower. She reported it internally. She was part of the process of taking forward measures to block this. She blocked 100 million rands worth of transactions. She stopped it centrally. And when she was murdered, all of that was unblocked again, not by low-level officials at Tembisa, but people up in the central level of Gauteng Department of Health. So that raises a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet. So the issue is that she noticed these unusual transactions and the amount of money that was flowing out. It would also be detectable in your normal expenditure flows. If you have to look at your monthly expenditure flows by hospital relative to the budget, the SIU showed that in fact this hospital over a period of 3 years was spending more than 3 times its budget. Now you tell me you allow that to happen for 3 years and nobody notices from the central level. So these things would typically be stopped at source. It's not necessarily the 3-quote system in itself. It's the fact that there is no supervision of what's going on. A lot of people had to be complicit for this to happen. That's why a lot of people were paid bribes, but they've only targeted the low-level officials, not the people at the top of the system who are basically protecting people, which is why they feel that they can get away with it.
I hear the point you're making quite clearly. So what are the implications of what you are saying, that systematically, okay, let me put it that way, at a systems level, there should be methods to be able to, 1, detect, 2, to act when you detect this kind of wrongdoing in the manner that Babita Deokaran did. So having said everything you've said, there are 116 disciplinary referrals, but it's not the first time that the SIU has made referrals that say discipline these people. It happened even with the COVID-19 procurement and other investigations of the SIU. What are the prospects of that being followed through?
Well, this is the question, because we note that the digital vibe story at the National Department of Health has not resulted in the arrest of the minister involved, and it was indicated that he was pressuring people. That's what the evidence kind of showed, and there's a process supposedly following up on that. But all the people who were involved as officials, key people who manipulated the bid evaluation committee are still there in the National Department of Health. They got a slap on the wrist. And they blamed it on, in that case, the accounting officer, the acting accounting officer. And he got a 12-month demotion. And then he was allowed back at a deputy director general position in the department. So, yes, there's a problem in follow-up in our main institutions, the police. Yeah. In this case, the Hawks, in the case of Tembisa, who pulled back on their investigations on the murder of Babita Deokaran. There's the NPA, which to date has not properly followed up on Brian Songwa's case from 2006.
Yeah.
That was 1.5 billion rands that was stolen from the Gauteng Department of Health. So all of those, it's a risk. And basically we've got to clean up the top structures of government for this to work. Our accountability systems should work, but not if everybody's captured.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Professor Alex van den Heever is Chair of Social Security Systems Administration and Management Studies at the Wits School of Governance.
Embark on your journey to success with the Durban University of Technology. Applications for 2026 first-year students are now open across our 6 faculties. Closing dates vary, so don't wait. Check detailed entry requirements on dut.ac.za. Apply today through the Central Applications Office at cao.ac.za. DUT and Vision 2030, creative, distinctive, impactful.
Let me get this right, Ron. You're a plumber by day and Pretoria's smoothest wedding DJ by night.
Yeah, it started out as a passion and now I've got bookings until December. And a smoke machine that needs its own seatbelt.
And you sold your car to buy a van through We Buy Cars.
Bro, it was music to my ears. Zero admin, no long queues. They pulled in, checked it out, and before I knew it, I had cash in the bank.
Now that's a banger. We Buy Cars. Geared for your passion, geared for you.
Big stories of the day. #The Morning Brief.
All right, let's get you clarity on a story that we've covered a couple of times here on the show, including yesterday when we spoke to Zandile Dabula of the Operation Dudula about whether or not there are charges laid by the EFF against her and Operation Dudula, as well as whether they have in turn laid charges against the leadership of the EFF in Gauteng. I'm joined by Amelka Baleni, who is the EFF Gauteng spokesperson. Good morning to you and thank you for your time. So what is the actual status here? Let me start with your charges against Operation Dudula leadership, including Zandile Dabula. Yesterday she told us that they've checked at the relevant police station. There are no charges that were laid by yourselves. What is your understanding?
Good morning, Thulas. Dumisani Baleni. My name is Dumisani Baleni. So this is what is happening. We went on the 20th of this month to open the case against Dudula to report them to the police in Alexandra. There are videos of us at the police station and pictures. There's also videos of the police acknowledging our complaint.
Mm-hmm.
And from that complaint, there was a request that the victim must come and corroborate the information. And at the time when we were with the police, we were able to call the victim and speak to the victim.
Mm.
But we have been clarifying and saying this to many people in the media space and also to those people that would call us and say they want to speak to the victim, which is the lady who lost the child. That she's getting threats, she's unable to speak, she's scared, there's those threats, there's people who are coming to visit her place where she stays and all that. And the police said they will need the victim to corroborate the story to be able to give the proper facts.
Yeah.
And we left it there. And the police said they will give us a case number. Up to this point, they have not been able to give us a case number, but they've been communicating with us that they need to speak to the victim.
Yeah.
They need to get some things right before they can open a case. It is untrue that we're turned away at the police station by the police, because we have evidence of that throughout the program that we're engaged on.
So are you adamant as the EFF that the actions of Operation Dudula or their supporters are causally linked to the death of this child after the mother was turned away from receiving medical treatment?
Absolutely, we're convinced about that, and we think that on top of just reporting this particular case, we need to be able to stop people from making clinics, public clinics, home affairs posts where people check immigration and all that, because it has a serious and dire effect for South Africans. Because if you stop people from going to clinics, people with communicable diseases are going to be turned away, and they will go back with infectious diseases to our communities. People who have emergencies who are going to be stopped. When someone has an emergency, you will be stopped. If you have stroke, they want to check your ID, they want to check everything, even if you are a South African. And by the time they confirm those things, it will be too late. But also, it is a very dangerous thing, because you stop people who have minor diseases, and then you turn them away. And then at a certain time, when they are too sick, they must go to the hospitals. Then we have a problem of overcrowding in wards, of shortages of beds, and this does not solve our problem.
Yeah. So the other issue we wanted to clarify, Mr. Balin, was Operation Dudula now says actually they've gone and laid charges against the Gauteng leadership of the EFF for intimidation, because they are saying you've been telling people that there are charges laid against them. Meanwhile, there are no charges, and that for them amounts to intimidation. And it seems they want to take action as far as defamation is concerned. Are you aware of any of those?
We are not aware of any of those. We don't think it will stick to anyone. I mean, reporting a case to the police is not intimidation. It is reporting a case. It is us who are trying to enforce the law in South Africa to make sure that people respect, the Constitution, that we don't have vigilante groups that go around looking for our IDs like the days of past laws.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time. Dumisani Baleni is the Gauteng EFF spokesperson.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning. Let's start with soccer, and it's Bafana Bafana's road to the 2026 FIFA World Cup is taking a dramatic hit. FIFA's docked South Africa 3 points and awarded a 3-0 win to Lesotho after the ineligible Teboho Mokoena was fielded in March. Now, the ruling erases Bafana's 2-0 victory and slashes their goal difference, dropping them into second place in Group C. Benin now top the group on 14 points, edging South Africa only on goal difference, while Nigeria, they sit just 3 points behind. Safa says it will appeal the sanction, calling the ruling unprecedented. But the reality is Bafana must now win their last two qualifiers against Zimbabwe and Rwanda. Here's the Safa Chief Executive Officer, Lydia Manyapau.
Look, we've received confirmation from FIFA that they have they're investigating the matter, which is something that we've been waiting for a very long time. So it's now on the table, and we are preparing our defense for that. And we need to be reverting to FIFA in the next couple of days. So all our attention is on that. We've got attorneys that have already been appointed to help us as well. So we are not really focus on that. I think for us it's a matter of ensuring that we get maximum points come October so that the team can qualify. No matter what happens as far as this is concerned, it's a matter of ensuring that we get maximum points and the team qualifies for the 2026 FIFA World Cup and the country can be happy.
In the meantime, South Africa's Amajita kicked off their 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup campaign with a spirited display, but they were edged 2-1 by France in Chile last night. Jodia Sheen scored the goal for Amajita.
Yeah, I think it was a tough game today, France is a good side, and I think we struggled a bit in pressing them up high. I think I'm happy for my goal, but after all, I'm not happy about the result, and now we're just trying to regroup and refresh and think about ways to improve in the next game against New Caledonia.
Now, the Mamelodi Sundowns coach Miguel Cardoso has welcomed a rare breather in the schedule, outlining how he intends to make the most of it. Sundowns finally enjoy a full week's rest before returning to action on Saturday night when they host Marumo Gallants in the Carling knockout.
I think we will have a good opportunity now, a good window to prepare these players for the future. This week, full week, that is quite rare to have in South Africa. First of all, give them rest. So tomorrow we train. And we're going to give them 2 days rest because they come from 7 matches in a row. And then pick the work, 3 days of work to prepare the next match. And then let's see the call-ups for national team, who will go, who will stay. But the ones that will stay will have opportunity to make 2 cycles of work, of course, so that we can raise the level of the boys, put them all together. It's opportunity, a good window to work, important one.
And finally, tennis. The top seed Carlos Alcaraz fought back from a set down to defeat Norway's Casper Ruud 3-6, 6-3, 6-4. And that's to reach the Japan Open final where he'll face Taylor Fritz. That's your sport. We'll serve it up top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, Crime Intelligence Head General Dumisani Kumalo will continue giving evidence at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. Yesterday, he told the Commission that they've identified 5 individuals who are part of a cartel that has allegedly penetrated the political sphere. Health Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi says it's concerning that some individuals would consider looting funds intended for essential health services given the crisis the healthcare sector is facing. His remarks come after the Special Investigating Unit released a report into corruption and maladministration at the Tembisa Hospital east of Johannesburg. And the KwaZulu-Natal government has revealed that the Provincial Department of Education is in a dire financial situation and urgently needs about 3.4 billion rand. Basic Education Minister Siviwe Hwahube held an urgent meeting in Durban with provincial authorities. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Still all closed up in Soweto. Both the New Canada Road option and the N17 outbound options remain shut. In fact, I say that the N17 looks like it may have just reopened in the last couple of minutes, so that'll alleviate some pressure. But certainly Canada Road still closed going to and from Main Reef Road. So big backlogs down around the Soweto Circle. That's Soweto Highway, Cliffsdale Valley Road, Soweto Highway out to the N1 as the alternatives busy. And back the other end, Meadowlands side. A lot of congestion there as motorists try to sort of backtrack that way to get up and out of Soweto towards that Main Reef Road. Crash on Republic Road out at Winnie Mandela. Very heavy coming out of Randburg on your way to Santa. The crash in the roadworks queue on the N3 north towards Buccleuch. The crash at Marlborough Drive. So it is heavy getting up from Edenvale this morning all the way through to Buccleuch to change territory. Taxi crash in Pretoria a little bit earlier this morning. Justice Mohammed and Brooklyn Road. So that's where you're stuck in a bit of unusual queues there. At Durban, after a really busy start this morning with a crash on the N2 South at Spaghetti Junction. Traffic coming through from Queen Nundy Drive is quite heavy. Motorists going north able to have a look at that. So big traffic from the M7 up through Spaghetti towards Umgeta Road as well. The M7, a crash going into Pinetown near St John's Avenue. That's really bad from Queensborough this morning. A lot worse than normal is the M7. And there's a problem just making your way through Queensborough towards the Bluff area with backlogs down towards the Belleville Road Bridge. Cape Town this morning, collision in front of Langa on the N7. Jake Scoville Drive northbound. So it's heavy coming off the N2 into that. It stays jam-packed through to Viking Way. And a crash on the N2 outbound just past Jan Smuts Drive, holding traffic quite heavily back from Rappenberg Road as you head out of town towards the airport. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Good morning to you once again in Dowling. Tell me about this court action between FAU, the Food and Allied Workers Union, and the South African breweries.
African breweries plan to shed more than 200 warehouse jobs has landed in the Labour Court, where the Food and Allied Workers Union is seeking urgent relief. Now, the case is scheduled to be heard today. The dispute stems from SAB's decision to cut 233 positions after reviewing its logistics operations. Fahu says the company ignored requests for full disclosure of the underlying business case and pressed ahead with dismissals last month. Now, the union contends this amounts to a bad faith bargaining and unlawful retrenchment. In its court application, Fahu is asking judges to reinstate dismissed workers, block further job losses, and order SAB to reopen consultations in line with fair labor procedures. Now, it says the CCMA has already confirmed that the company's disclosures were incomplete, strengthening its argument that proper engagement never took place. SAB, in the meantime, has declined to comment while the matter is before the courts. In a News 24 article, the company had previously indicated it was exploring restructuring options, but insisted at the time that alternatives to retrenchment were still being considered.
Tell me about RCL Foods and their warning about struggles in the sugar industry. What's that about?
So the food producer has warned that its sugar division is being squeezed by multiple headwinds, including surging imports, regulatory uncertainty, and the fallout from high-profile business rescues weighing heavily on the sector as a whole. Although its sugar unit posted a solid performance, the company said momentum faded in the second half of its financial year as consumer demand softened and cheap imports displaced domestic supply. The group's CFO, Rob Field, added that global price swings and shifting tariff frameworks are adding to the pressure, directly influencing input costs, pricing power, and overall competitiveness. A Business Day article notes instability, of course, at Tongaat and Gledhouse Sugar, and that further unsettling the sector. Tongaat entered business rescue in 2022 after years of financial mismanagement and excessive debt. Its creditors have since backed a plan that hands control to the Vision Partners Consortium. Gledhouse, hit by floods, unrest, and rising costs, followed into business rescue in 2023 before being acquired by Ushugela Holdings. Now, while RCL's sugar division has been performing well, management warned that without progress on stabilizing the industry, further investment and competitiveness remain at risk.
Lastly, Ndawling, how are the markets looking at this hour?
So starting in Asia, stocks pulling back this hour following mixed business activity readings from the region's biggest economy. China's Shanghai Composite is up 0.4%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng sheds close to 0.2%. In Wall Street, futures are flat, investors taking a breather on the back of concerns over a U.S. government shutdown. And then coming back home, it's green screens as gold remains at record highs, this boosting the local bourse with the all share closing the day 0.5% higher. The yellow metal rally also fueling gains in the rand, with the local unit at 17.25 to the greenback this morning. In contrast, oil taking a knock due to oversupply concerns. It's trading at $66 per barrel this hour.
All right, thank you for that. We'll touch base with you one more time just after 8:13. Dowling Lechela there.
Kathy Motlatlana on SAFM.
If you're ready to talk, I'm here to listen and nothing is off the agenda. Join me on The Talking Point every day from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on SAFM.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let me start with one or two voice notes before I go on over to the calls. A few people wanting to comment on Safa, FIFA, and the decision that was made by FIFA around Bafana Bafana and docking Bafana Bafana, those 3 points.
Thulas, on that Safa issue, Nkululeko there from Idiski is not telling the truth there. FIFA, go to the FIFA website. For FIFA competitions, they have all that information in who has a yellow card, who has a red card, from which country or what country. They have that system. And those guys from Safa should have followed. They know what to do. It's only that they didn't do it.
All right, so I'll check the website. That's an interesting one. I hadn't checked. I will check. That would make it even worse then if that information is so readily available at hand.
Between the games, there should be someone who constantly is monitoring that.
I mean, we have people that are monitoring and following players week in, week out to check on their form before the selection by the coach. So why can't we keep on? It means we can even also be robbed of points if there's no such administration of someone doing the oversight thing. I think it needs to be clear. The manager, team manager, or whoever need to go. Safa must act. Z from Bloemfontein.
All right, thank you for that. It does feel like something that someone should have been watching and monitoring. Let me take this one that talks about Minister Aaron Motsoaledi. I imagine it's about the comments that he was making yesterday in the wake of the release of the report about Tembisa Hospital.
Aaron Motsoaledi is having a knee-jerk reaction. He is very much aware of the two previous reports about the corruption. So it's nothing new. And yes, he admits that it's been going on. But what have they done about it? Absolutely nothing. So yeah, it's all fluff. All fluff. Teresa,
thank you for that. And that really is the part that gets to me. The point that we've reached a point where we say it's been going on. And as shocked as we are, it's not that surprising that something like this would happen in a country like ours. In our country, in fact, let me not say a country like ours. Let me be very specific. We are not surprised. We are horrified and, we are outraged about it. But it is very much within the realm of what happens in this country. And how long can we continue like this in as far as matters of governance are concerned? What Teresa is alluding to there is Aaron Motsoaledi, the minister, yesterday saying that now he understands, in his words, why China executes people who engage in corruption. So just in reaction to the report coming through from the SIU. Let me take a call from Arnold in Joburg. Good morning to you, Arnold.
Good morning to us, and yes, greetings to all your listeners. So I wanted to make a quick point about what happened in with the EFF and Operation Dudula.
Yes.
I think I'm an immigrant myself in South Africa, and I think if there are issues about who is coming to the clinic and what, those are citizen issues, and it's normal, for citizens to be concerned about who is accessing the healthcare or what. Mm-hmm. But when it's a bit disturbing, if it's done not by the state entities, but by individuals. And I think that is not correct.
Yeah.
They should leave it to the state, and the state has law. We all believe in South Africa. Whatever they can say, it's one of the best countries in the world. That's why we are here. And the state should do its job.
Yeah.
But a point that I wanted to make quickly, what I've noticed, usually people who make noise in the far right are not usually people from that country. I'll give you a few examples.
Mm-hmm.
If you take South Africa, the one who was the architect of apartheid, Verwoerd, he was born in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
If we take the Cape Independence guy, I think he's English.
Yeah.
So if we take in France, the head of Rassemblement National, Jordan Bardella, is from Italy. So you'll see that many people usually who make noise like that, they are not from the country, and they try to prove a point. Even the colored, those who say I'm colored, usually they are dark, and then you ask yourself, why is he saying that he's colored? So I'm not referring to no one.
Yeah, I hear,
anyway.
I hear what you're saying. You were coming along nicely, and you lost me at the last one because it is possible for a person, a colored person, to have dark skin tone. But I get the point that he is making. The point about projection, right? Just feeling that you need to perform and show that you are opposed to migrants when actually it turns out that you yourself have certain roots elsewhere. That's the point he's making. The extent to which, of course, it's borne out by reality, I can't vouch for that. Let me go to Bonagele in Kaelicha. Good morning to you, Bonagele.
A very good morning to us. Listen, two things that I want to talk about. It's my eyes and ears are on Malema's case in East London today. So if anyone wins today or whatever happens in that court, so either Malema or the Afro Forum, but just give up. This thing has been going on for quite a long time, so it must just come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And with regard to this Tembisa looting, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it with these officials. I'm just wondering, if, are they not the ANC members? Because seemingly to me, whenever there's a corruption happening, ANC, but I don't hear a lot of noise about this.
Yeah.
And it's almost 2 million. I'm very surprised when it comes to this.
Yeah.
So, because corruption seems to be associated with ANC members and all that. I want to hear more of these people, criticizing the corruption associating with ANC. Come on, people South Africa, come up. I want to hear what is right.
Bonagele, thank you. Bye, Bonagele. Bonagele wants the political links to be made in the commentary about the corruption that has been happening at Tembisa Hospital. In fact, let me go to Defo in Velcom. Good morning to you, Defo. Sive, I'm coming to you in a moment. Please be patient with me. Defo, good morning.
Very good morning to us. And, I share your deep sense of just despair on the issue of Tembisa.
Yeah.
But Tembisa is one of the many public hospitals.
Yes.
And what worries me is that the minister is concerned. The minister is not telling us what he's going to do. It's okay for him to raise the concerns and talk about people traveling in Lamborghinis. Please, Minister, tell us what you are going to do. I'm sure he's got powers. His powers are not limited to just airing his consent over the radios.
Yeah.
Some of the powers probably go to the extent that he can lay charges against those very people that were enablers in making sure that the looting happens. But I think the bottom line is that this should not only be isolated to Tembisa.
Yeah.
I think the minister must delve deep into saying hospitals in this country. How far can we go in terms of finding out what exactly is happening?
Absolutely.
I hope we're not going to get into another commission.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Hopefully not. Therefore, thank
you for
lastly,
I want to tap on your expertise. I mean, I don't understand these legal issues. This commission of inquiry, would this Madlanga commission, wouldn't it be prudent to have that commission and the criminal proceedings at the same time to save time? Or is it something that is legally not correct?
You most certainly can do both at the same time. And in fact, the provision has been made, therefore, as I let you go, the provision has been made in the Madlanga Commission terms of reference that as and when they uncover certain evidence, that evidence can be acted upon simultaneously. Nothing detains law enforcement from following up on crimes where they believe that those have clearly been committed. In fact, General Khumalo yesterday, talking about that Big Five syndicate, mentioned two people that they are identifying, Vusumuzi Ketmatlala as well as Katiso Molefe, being those two, and saying that the other three, the investigation is still ongoing. We are busy with that investigation. So nothing really stops law enforcement from doing the job at hand in terms of investigations and even prosecutions, really. If it's at the point where they are satisfied that the case can be taken to court, I don't see anything that stops that from happening. It's just that there seems to be a deference that you just defer and say, look, let's allow that process to play itself out. Sive in Kabeja, good morning.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. How are you, my friend?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good. Thulasizwe, we all talk about the manager, the team manager, and all of that. When do we talk about the player, Thulasizwe? Because sport is a sport with rules. Tebogo Mokoena knows very well that he is the one who broke rules on the field. And he knows how many times he has broken the rules on the field. And he knows that he had 2 yellow cards. So at what point do we take soccer players responsible for their own actions?
Sure.
These guys are paid millions of rands. You can't tell me that they are only paid millions of rands to kick the soccer ball. For sure, they are paid to go and analyze their own performances, their weaknesses, and their strengths, and they have the data at their disposal. This thing is the same as like the doping in rugby. When a player says, no, I was sick, I went to a doctor and the doctor gave me this particular medicine, all to find out that it had all of that. Yeah? Now, a player would be sanctioned for all of those things, not for him having caused a problem. Sure. But this one, it's himself who kicked another player in the field. He got a yellow card. He kicked another player in another game. He got a yellow card. At what point does he take responsibility?
So if I hear you correctly, Sive, very quickly, you are saying he should have said when his name was put on the team list for the next match against Lesotho, he should have said, hang on, I have 2 yellow cards.
Yes. No. He must take blame.
All right, Sive, let's leave it there. Yeah. I hear you. Thank you for that. That's Sive out in Kabeja. I'll come back to your calls and WhatsApp voice notes a bit later on.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Top story has been Soweto and the disruption getting out via the Soweto Circle area this morning. The N17 has been closed again. It was temporarily open from the circle out towards the M1, but closed shortly thereafter. So N17 exit to the M1 is closed. Canada Road from Soweto Highway going to and from Main Reef Road closed. So a lot of congestion around Klipspruit Valley Road, around Soweto Highway out towards the N1 is the alternative. And just back a little bit, sort of Orlando Stadium on Klip River Drive, there's Klipspruit Valley, I beg your pardon, Klipspruit Valley, in amongst all that traffic waiting to get out. There's also been quite a big crash involving a taxi, so it's all happening in Soweto today. Crash on Winnie Mandela and Republic, heavy on your way to Sandton on both of those routes, whether you're coming from Bryanston or coming across from Randburg. If you're exiting Randburg, it's extra heavy on Republic towards that crash in on Winnie Mandela. Also, if you're electing to go down via Craig Hall as an alternative, Jan Smuts and Conrad, those lights are down as well, so extra delays there coming out of the Randburg area. Crash on the N3 North as well as the roadworks, the crash at Marlborough Drive, the roadworks at Buccleuch. It's all very heavily back getting up from Edenvale on your way towards Buccleuch interchange this morning. Durban's had a busy one, a crash taking a while to clear away into southbound before Spaghetti Junction. It looks like it's probably out of the way now. That traffic coming south is starting to ease up a little bit. Still heavy on the northbound side though, up in towards the works at Westwood Mall. M7 into Pinetown, heavy from Queensborough. That's just pressure traffic plus an earlier crash in as well. And Cape Town into Outer Town, very slow. A crash just between the Smuts and Bunga Avenue. Traffic parking back towards Rappenberg Road. And the N7 South is quite heavy today from Plattercliff Road towards the N1 Highway. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Spar brings you super savings, like 700ml all gold tomato sauce for $32.99 and get 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile, or 400-gram Koo baked beans and tomato sauce. Buy 2 for 30 Rand and get 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million Rand in instant cash. Competition ends 7 October. Prices valid 23 September to 7 October 2025 while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Spring is in the air, meaning it's almost time for the 10th SA Garden Day on Sunday the 12th of October. Celebrate the day with a garden party, lunch under the trees, or cake at a community garden, and invite your friends, family, or neighbors to enjoy your garden with you. Visit gardenday.co.za for inspiration and share pictures of your celebration on social media with #GardenDaySA. SA Garden Day, Sunday the 12th of October.
Mzansi, Powerball stands at a staggering 100 million Rand guaranteed jackpot this Tuesday. You heard right. Play Powerball now for your chance at the guaranteed 100 million Rand jackpot, and you could become the next big winner. Buy your ticket now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
5 minutes to 8. Some residents of Johannesburg say they are being forced to pay bribes just to get access to their own house plans. A Sunday Times report alleges city officials are charging up to 2,000 rand for documents that should be freely available, with one official even caught on tape hinting at a price list for digital or printed copies. The problem is made worse, we are told, by the fact that the city's historical archive, holding over 1 million property records, has been locked up in the closed Metro Centre since 2023. Let's speak to the chairperson of the lobby group, Johannesburg Heritage Foundation, David Fleminger, who joins me now. Good morning to you, David, and thank you for your time. How widespread is the alleged bribery problem? And is it just a matter of a few instances? Are we aware of the extent of the problem?
Good morning, Thulasizwe. Thanks for having me. Yes, the problem with the bribes, I should say. We have not received ourselves any direct evidence of the bribery, but we have heard many stories of desperate architects, homeowners, property developers who are trying to get these plans because it's a legal requirement. If you want to develop your property or you want to do renovations, you have to submit the original plans as well. That's the law. The problem is that this archive of the plans, which should be available at a very nominal fee, about 40 Rand for a copy when things are open and working, is not accessible. So people are forced to either hire architects to redraw plans from scratch, or they find other ways to get those plans. So we've been aware of this situation of the unavailability of plans, as you say, since 2023, because this isn't a new issue. This has been raised repeatedly by several different groups to the city, so they're aware of it. And that doesn't surprise us at all that somebody has spotted a gap and is now taking it upon themselves to make some money out of this. Our main concern is that they appear to be giving away the original plans, not copies, which means once those plans have gone from the archive, they pretty much gone forever. That archive's irreplaceable. There are no copies anywhere else. There are no digital copies. So it's a precious historical archive. It's a legal requirement, and it's simply not available. And so people are finding ways around a difficult situation that the city has put the developers and architects in.
How did we get here? What are the conditions that led to something that should be easy and straightforward, just obtaining your original plans or a copy of your plans? Now it being so difficult such that people become desperate and scams and schemes such as the ones we are reporting about are even possible?
It's all ties back to the closure of the Metro Centre. So, as you said, in 2023, the Metro Centre, there was a transformer fire in one part of the building. One of the transformers caught fire. The city said that the entire structure, which housed thousands of municipal workers, as well as the plans archive, would be closed immediately pending renovations because it was not safe for human occupation. We believe that was an exaggeration, that the transformer fire could have been addressed and the building could have been fixed while people were still working there, and there was no need to close the entire facility. But once the facility was closed, all the staff in that facility, including the staff who worked at the archive, were relocated at great expense to rented properties around the city. So it had a major impact on service delivery because the people were no longer in their offices and now split all over the place and in different locations. And of course, it kept the archive closed, which has led us to the situation now where the archive is firstly at huge risk of theft, vandalism, fire. It's not being attended. It's not being looked after. So there's a major issue, safety of the archive. And now we've heard about these stories about people actually taking plans from the archive and handing them out to developers, which also depletes the archive and undermines its integrity.
Is the option of going digital something that's available or even being explored at this point? And would it solve or ameliorate the problem that we're talking about, over 1 million property and zoning documents in and around that issue of the Metro Centre and its closure?
We haven't heard of any specific proposals by the city to digitize the archives. We would certainly welcome it. We do know that there are other municipalities, I believe Cape Town has embarked on a big digitization project for exactly this purpose. Digitization firstly ensures the safety, if it's done correctly, of course, but it ensures the safety of the archive. There's a backup, if nothing else, and it makes it more accessible. So we'd certainly support the digitization of the archive. In fact, as the Heritage Foundation, we have for the past probably over a year now, if not two, been going into the plans archive. I should say more than 2, 3, 4 years now. We've been going into the plans archive, selecting particularly important plans that are for important heritage sites. We have, with agreement with the city, been taking those plans and digitizing them and putting them into the Museum Africa archive for safekeeping. So that's a very small percentage, but we have been doing that anyway on our own accord. Sure. But an official digitization project would be very recommended.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time. David Flemminger, who is chair of the Johannesburg Heritage Foundation. Let's go straight to Ann Musa with the latest news.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, General Khumalo to continue testifying at the Madlanga Commission, and AGOA uncertainty sparks job fears in Africa. Good morning. Crime Intelligence Head General Dumisani Khumalo will continue giving evidence at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. Yesterday, he told the Commission that they've identified 5 individuals who are part of a cartel that has allegedly penetrated the political sphere. The Big Five cartel, as he terms it, is alleged to have syndicates operating under it. He says the cartel is operating throughout the country with its headquarters in Gauteng. Khumalo says arrested individuals such as Vuzimuzi Kat Matlala and Katiso Mulife have been identified as members of the Big Five.
The Big Five has already penetrated the political sphere, and there are documented cases of high-profile connections in the political arena, senior politicians alleged to be complicit and or willfully blind to the syndicate operations.
Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says it's concerning that some individuals would consider looting funds intended for essential health services given the crisis the healthcare sector is facing. His remarks come after the Special Investigating Unit released a report into corruption and maladministration at the Tembisa Hospital east of Johannesburg. The SIU says about 2 billion rand has been lost to tender irregularities and fraud at the hospital. The report also identified 3 major syndicates involved in the corruption scandal, each with assets worth millions of rand. Motsoaledi says it's inhumane that some individuals would compromise the health of others for luxury items.
We have been knowing, of course, that there was corruption. It's not that we expected anything else. But the sheer wastefulness of it, where a person steals money to go and buy a string of Lamborghinis and all the other luxuries cars you can ever get in the market. What do you do with such cars? What type of human being are you? What are you gaining from having a string of Lamborghinis and all the other cars and properties?
Specialist investigator Mike Bolhuis has urged families of kidnapping victims not to engage with kidnappers or pay any ransom without the assistance of police or professional investigators. In one of the latest incidents, businessman Philip Martins was kidnapped at his family home in Nigel, east of Johannesburg, earlier this month. His family says the kidnappers have been demanding a 500,000 rand ransom and have threatened to kill him if it's not paid. Martin's daughter has allegedly paid over 100,000 rand, but he has not been released. Bolhuis says this is a common tactic used by kidnappers to extort even more money from families.
So in a case where somebody is kidnapped, it's important to do a thorough identification, evaluation, risk analysis, track tracing, cybercrime, forensic investigation, so that you can make an informed decision. And then secondly, I know it's difficult, but you need to be cool and calm and make informed decisions, as I've said, and deal with authorities that knows how to handle these cases and successfully investigate and solve them.
The KwaZulu-Natal government has revealed that the Provincial Department of Education is in a dire financial situation and urgently needs about 3.4 billion rand. Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwagube held an urgent meeting in Durban with provincial authorities. Gwagube says among the solutions is the auditing of ghost employees.
There are practical solutions. So the one is the work that is going to be commenced around doing an audit of ghost employees and ghost learners. So we're looking at over 2 million learners in this province. Number two, I think also commending the province from bringing that cost of employees down from 93% to 89% is important, remembering that the national benchmark is actually 80%. Number two, I'm quite pleased with the work that the Premier is doing in terms of putting these two departments together. So putting those departments together means that he understands that there's a crisis and he's chairing that try and find solutions.
Meanwhile, Premier Tamintuli says he has established a working group to assist the affected department.
I have established a troika wherein myself with the MEC for Education and for Finance, we sit together to consider the progress in terms of stabilizing the department. I also established a working group which is constituted by the technocrats that is briefing the cabinet on regular basis on progress and the challenges that are there in the department.
And finally, businesses in more than 30 African countries, including South Africa, are facing uncertainty ahead of the expiry of a vital trade agreement allowing duty-free exports to the United States. The 25-year-old African Growth and Opportunity Act has not yet been extended by the Trump administration, despite efforts of African envoys. The BBC's Lakisha Wandera has the details.
Across the continent, workers say they're holding their breath, unsure whether their livelihoods will survive if additional tariffs are imposed on their goods. Envoys from African countries have been pushing for an extension, but so far Washington has given no clear signal. For decades, the deal has been seen as a cornerstone of US-Africa economic relations.
Recapping the top story, Crime Intelligence Head General Dumisani Khumalo will continue giving evidence at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
There are 1,500 reasons to get an Outsurance car insurance quote today. You heard it here. If Outsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand cash if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you always get something out. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 0860 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SAFM Sports headlines, it's rugby, and the Springboks have topped the log, one win away from the Rugby Championship crown. And we also bring you the news about FIFA's ruling that's sparking the World Cup qualifying crisis for Bafana Bafana. They are going to appeal. We'll have details just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
A top story this morning, the chaos out of Top of Soweto, both Canada Road and the N17 exits either out to Main Reef or the N1 highway are being closed due to protesting. And then the queue coming up to Soweto Circle on Cliffside Valley near the stadium. There's also been a crash involving a taxi, so a lot of disruption there. Mike 1, Boyson through to Parktown remains heavy. N3 under pressure today with a crash going up into Buccleuch interchange as well as the roadwork. So from Edenvale, it's all very heavy past the crash at Marlborough Drive and then into the double lane closure at Buccleuch. Bottom of the N1 South between New Road and Buccleuch interchange looking fairly heavy. Lights are off on Winnie Mandela at the N1, so delays getting off the highway in both directions this morning. Over in Durban, the M7 into Pinetown remains heavy. A crash much earlier this morning at St John's Avenue Bridge. The net result, traffic still very heavy from Hunt Stepman. And if you're going the other way, there's a really big queue towards the Bluff going through North Dean towards Queensborough. N2 northbound under pressure from the M7 exit up into the roadworks at Westwood Mall. The crash southbound at Spaghetti Junction, that's out of the way. And Cape Town, pretty heavy traffic backlogs through Somerset West on the N2 and a crash going out of Cape Town on the N2 highway at Jan Smuts. That's on your way to the airport. You're going to pick up a queue from Rappenberg roadside. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
11 minutes after 8 on this Tuesday. It is great to be in your company. Welcome to it, the third hour of the Morning Brief here on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Also live, of course, on our digital platforms. That is on our website, that's safm.co.za, on our YouTube channel, that's SAFM Radio, and of course also on Facebook and live on the platform formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. Also SAFM Radio there. So I was saying earlier on that yesterday was devastating in terms of our conceptions of governance and rule of law in this country, in that we got to hear about so many, syndicates, criminal syndicates that we are told are in operation in one area of life or another, particularly around the Tembisa Hospital, where we heard about multiple syndicates and the 2 billion rand looting that then happened there. So in a way, the picture is much worse than what the late whistleblower Babita Deokaran had been able to uncover by the time that she was killed. And while we have that going on, we also have some really good people in the system that know, that have the diligence to know, to flag things. And I think we need to, in all these conversations we're having, also reflect on the bravery of people such as the late Babita Deokaran. Let me just read an excerpt of, how she tried to bring to the fore what she was seeing, doing her work, nothing extraordinary, just doing her work, doing the work that she was employed to do, to keep track of the finances and financial flows around the Department of Health in Gauteng, as well as the Tembisa Hospital. This was on the 11th of August 2021, where she was alerting the department's chief financial officer that their lives could be in danger. This is a recount and a retelling that is entailed, among some of the reporting that has happened subsequent to that. So she sends a WhatsApp to the CFO and says, and I quote here, "Morning CFO, I'm just worried that the guys in Tembisa are going to realize we are onto something. Our lives could be in danger." End quote, says that WhatsApp message. Her boss at the time, Lerato Maggio, replied, "Morning Babita, I've requested the HOD's grant of approval for the investigation." And if you follow the reporting of Jeffrey Wicks, who has reported extensively on this story and has written a book about it, then Jeffrey Wicks then says this was a lie. No investigation was ever launched. The payments were released after her death. I just think it's important for us to also pause and think as a society, how are we going to honor these brave men and women who have, despite the odds, and in some instances, you get a sense that they sometimes know that this may lead to nothing other than just me being in danger. But as a matter of principle, I'm going to raise it and flag it and say, this, what I'm seeing as I look at the dashboard, at the work that I'm doing, just doesn't look right. JDLR just doesn't look right. Cynthia Stimple, another whistleblower, also along the same lines, years ago, sends a message while out on a walking tour, but distressed about what was going to happen, and sends a message and says, "This is a WhatsApp whistleblowing message. I don't know how else to do it." And basically then goes on to lay out what her concerns were. So it's always important to honor. These are the heroes of democratic South Africa. These are the people who insist that the right thing be done, even at great cost to themselves. That includes their lives being taken. I just thought I should put that on the table. Reflections also on how, while we are lamenting and outraged and calling for action, how are we going to honor and inculcate this culture of love for South Africa that says, I will do whatever it takes for this country. Welcome to it, the third hour of the morning brief here on SAFM.
The Mpumalanga provincial government will host the much-anticipated Investment and Mining Conference in a drive to attract investment to the province. The conference aims to reposition Mpumalanga as a globally competitive investment and mining hub. This will afford the province a platform to reaffirm its determination to unlock new frontiers of economic growth that will benefit both current and future generations. The mining town of Middelburg in the Steve Tshwete local municipality will play host of the conference scheduled for 2nd and 3rd of October 2025. Mpumalanga, a province that works for all.
Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
All right, let me hear what one or two people have to say. Someone wants to reflect on Operation Dudula.
Good morning, Tulas. I am a foreigner here in South Africa. I guess Operation Dudula is backing up the wrong tree. It's not foreigners who are looting up medicine from hospitals. It's all clear to see. Just one Lamborghini will be enough for medicine for, I think, maybe all the foreigners who are queuing up there. Those are poor people. One Lamborghini only can solve those problems. But guess what? People can have many Lamborghinis.
Thulasizwe, if indeed the chief prosecutor is resigning from Madlanga Commission, I think it would be proper for us to know the exact reasons why he's doing that. It should not be kept silent, because otherwise it will affect the credibility of the commission. Thank you very much.
No, I hear you. Let's hope those reasons will be outlined. I think I heard Anne reporting earlier on in one of her bulletins that actually that move has already been put in play. Matthew Chaskalson is now the evidence leader, but I stand to be corrected. But I seem to recall, so do telling me that I am correct, that there was an item like that. So Matthew Chaskalson is now the chief evidence leader at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Let me take one or two that have to do with in fact, let me get this one, reflecting on Babita Deokaran, and then another one on Tembisa Hospital. Then I'll turn to the calls.
Thulasizwe, good morning. It's Clinton here. Thulasizwe, I've got one question. When Babita told the CFO they might be onto us if we don't release the funds, I wonder, my question is, what did the CFO did? What did he or she did? And who was the CFO? Because that is the one question that nobody seems to told us. Even the SIU couldn't give us an indication what the CFO did when Babita told them they might be onto them.
Yeah, I hope you heard. I was reading there that message from Babita Deokaran from the 11th of August 2021. Her boss then was Lerato Maggio, who responded to that message you are talking about, saying that I've requested the HOD to grant approval for the investigation. And reporting by Jeffrey Weeks and others tells us that actually there was no subsequent investigation. Instead, the payments were released after Babita Deokaran had been killed. So there you have it. Let me go to Linda in Boksburg. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. How are you?
I'm always confused with your name. Is it the English Linda or is it Linda?
Linda,
I know, but you're confusing.
Yeah. Mamela ke Thulasizwe. The issue here, the Tembisa Hospital, and you can check with these other hospitals, Bopara, Bocharat Matlek. The issue is the rot is so deep and is deeply entrenched not only at the level of the hospitals themselves, but the provincial Department of Health. That's where the issue is. And the entire provincial government of Gauteng as well. Do you still remember, and even today nobody has given us answers, about what happened to the 430 million spent on so-called sanitization of closed schools?
Linda.
What happened? And who was the MEC for education at the time? What has happened? And these are the issues. You can invest. The rot is so deep. What you have said about you at the gym in the morning listening to the brief by Advocate and Mutibi, it's how we feel as South Africans every morning.
Absolutely, it's crippling.
We are paralyzed.
You are spot on. Thank you for that, Linda. And by the way, that report is there. The report into what do they call it? PPE related, COVID-19 related corruption. It has a litany of recommendations for who should be prosecuted, who should be subjected to disciplinary proceedings, but the extent to which that has happened or has not happened, that really is where the problem is. Let me speak to Sibonelo in Durban. Good morning to you, Sibonelo.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. But I'm not okay. To be quite honest with you. You are not okay. I would like to look at this from a different angle, and I don't mean to sound rude or anything, but how does this government that is majority black and voted into power by us black people, how are they representing us? Are they contributing to the overall rhetoric or rather misconception about black people by how they are handling our country? And I say this, my brother, because during apartheid, it was the white government oppressing the majority black in the country. But that somehow automatically generated into us as black people having a feeling of distrust at the time towards the white people, right? Normal white people who were not involved in government. Now, how does this government stealing from its black people, poor people in South Africa, how do white people see it?
Sure, Sibonelo.
And can we genuinely say that those people are racist when in fact they look at what these people are doing? How are they contributing to the overall narrative about black people? Imagine, throughout the globe, we have countries that fought for South Africa to be free. And sometimes people like Joe Biden, the former president of the USA, sometimes I wonder, how do these people feel now when they see us messing up our country like this?
Failure to vindicate the faith that people had in the project of the liberation of South Africa. That is the essence of what you're talking about. The moral integrity that, the whole project was infused with. And I think I've made the point before. So let me quote Tupac Shakur for you. It ain't them that's killing us, it's us that's killing us.
That's very true, my brother. And hey, thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Sibonelo out in Durban. Let me see if I can squeeze in another call. Let me quickly take Mike in Newlands. Good morning to you, Mike.
Yeah, good morning, Julius. And it's just as I was listening to your show this morning, I started to jot down just in the hour that you guys were talking about the amount of corruption that is. I think we've got to the stage, where maybe the ANC has just simply decided to just go loot as much as possible. There seems to be no effort made listening to the situation with the archives, listening to the fact that the transformers not repaired. We had 7 billion rand was spent ordering Badger armor cars for our defense force from Arms Corps, and not one has been delivered, and the money has been paid out. We learn about the 2 billion rand stolen from Tembisa Hospital, and the irony of that is, one guy seems to have been suspended for 12 months and then got his job back, and now we're having this commission on the police And it just occurred to me that the same day that police commission started, our president of our very own country is in court, well, not in court himself, but a court case is taking place, trying to find out why he hides money in his sofa.
Yeah.
And that last caller was absolutely right. Thulasizwe. Now, where is that 243 million rand? I've seen the report and I've read it, and you're quite right. First of all, it finds Thulasizwe innocent, that's fine. But hell, man, he was head of the department. He's taken no responsibility, and he has not even bothered to find 1 rand. I think we need to move out of this. I don't know what the answer is, because unfortunately all our investigative agencies all report to the president. And if the president's hiding money in his sofa that he shouldn't be doing, who do we turn to? Maybe we've got to go private and I don't know, because we need to find another alternative. Thanks,
I agree with you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for that. And it's not like we don't know the scale and extent of the problem. My goodness, we've had many investigations that have given us a picture of what we're dealing with here. What are we to do about it? That is the question. Eddie in Cape Town, good morning.
Good morning, Thulas. Yes, Thulas. Ramaphosa should account for all this that is going on in this country, because this man, he has been promising since he came in that the new dawn. I think now he should come forward and explain to the people that this is the new dawn I was talking about, because there's nothing that you can point out and say this is Ramaphosa. But the worst things have gone, the worst. He was talking about fighting corruption. It was appearing like maybe he's going to fight corruption, but it has gone even worse. And it seems like now these guys there was a chain that was linked even to Ramaphosa himself. So really Ramaphosa must account. This guy is failing. This black empowerment, economic empowerment, it is also coming in a wrong way, whereby people want to do shortcuts for them to become rich.
Eddie,
yes.
Just playing devil's advocate, can't he argue, he and his President Ramaphosa, that is, can't he argue that the reason you know about the corruption we're talking about now is exactly that new dawn, that it's being investigated and exposed?
No, it is not because of Ramaphosa.
It doesn't hold,
because of the people, others that they have even they have lost their lives. We are talking about Babiat Dekora. She has lost her life, because not because of Ramaphosa. He's doing nothing, and his administration are involved in those corruption. The people whom he's appointing. Look at look at now Season 2. It was a chain of the same people doing the same kind of a thing. Ramaphosa appointing them, knowing who they are. It's not that he was doing it randomly. Was not appointing these people randomly. Was appointing them on the instructions that he must do that, so that this thing should continue to protect. You see, so it's a chain that comes all the way from the union building there. So really, Ramaphosa should account.
Eddie, thank you for that. I get that sense. Absolutely. Full accountability. Not just accountability, not platitudes. We are way past platitudes. We are so far from that point where platitudes would suffice. We are at a point where decisive action, only decisive action that says the risk that we face, it's a great peril to our nation, to our project, Democratic South Africa, that requires that. Let's pull back from the brink, people. Let's pull back from the brink.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning. Let's go straight into the brink of victory. We've got.
I see you trying to cheer me up. It's not working.
I know that was dramatic, but so factual at the same time.
Anyway, give it another go.
Hey, Captain Siyakolisi. Tell us we're there. We're at the finish line and we are moving quickly from that 67-30 victory over Argentina at Kings Park. The Boks, they've landed in London. Now, that result has lifted South Africa to the top of the Rugby Championship log. Everything to play for in next weekend's decider against Argentina at Twickenham. Kolisi saying the Boks will lean on their belief and the backing of the supporters.
We always believe. We never go in any game with any doubt, and no matter what's happening in the game, because we've been ahead by 22 points against Australia, and then they came back and we lost that game. But we've been behind too, and we're able to fight back. So we do draw strength and energy from those moments that came in. But we also know Testament game, it's an 80-minute game. So all of those things that we go through in the season, they help us through each and every single game. And when chips are down, or it looks like we're not going to win, we know what to draw strength from, and also when we're leading, we are able to humble ourselves and remind each other, on the next job. And that's the biggest thing in our team. Whether we score or they score against us, what's the next thing? Where can we find a way to change momentum? And that comes from the coaches all the way to the doctors and everybody. We're all on the same page, and I think that's what keeps us going.
On to soccer, Bafana Bafana's road to the 2026 FIFA World Cup has taken a dramatic hit. FIFA has docked South Africa 3 points and awarded the 3-0 win to Lesotho after the ineligible Teboho Mokoena was fielded in March. The ruling erases Bafana's 2-0 victory and slashes their goal difference, dropping them into second place in Group C. Benin now top the group on 14 points, edging South Africa only on goal difference, while Nigeria sit just 3 points behind. Safa says it will appeal the sanction, calling the ruling unprecedented. But the reality is Bafana must now win their last 2 qualifiers, and that's against Zimbabwe and Rwanda in October. Now, the Mamelodi Sundowns coach Miguel Cardoso welcoming a rare breather in the schedule, outlining how he intends to make the most of it. Sundowns finally enjoyed a full week's rest before returning to action on Saturday, and that's when they host Marumo Gallants in the Carling knockout. Cardoso did, however, acknowledge there need to be more options in their attack, which means the door is open for Rizinho.
That we need players in the front, we need. So if he shows adaptation and capacity to produce 20-30 minutes of game, we have no problems, because we need players in the front. We are lacking capacity to substitute players, because today we had only in the bench to enter in the front Bennett and Maseko, and then the striker Peter. Even Motiva was not with us on the bench, but he can all play in the front. So we need to substitute the 3 players in the front. We need something more. So probably even Tsiki is coming better and better.
And that's a wrap of the Morning Brief Sport. Check back. We'll have more with John Herika around 12:30. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musan. The headlines: the second Cabinet Lekgotla of the Government of National Unity for the year kicks off at the Sifaku Mahato Presidential Guest House in Pretoria later this morning. Crime Intelligence Head General Dumisani Khumalo will continue giving evidence at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. Yesterday, he told the Commission that they've identified 5 individuals who are part of a cartel that has allegedly penetrated the political sphere. And businesses in more than 30 African countries, including South Africa, are facing uncertainty ahead of the expiry of a vital trade agreement allowing duty-free exports to the United States. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still pretty heavy congestion top of Soweto. The road closures this morning because of the protesting, including New Canada Road coming out of Soweto off Soweto Highway all the way to Main Reef Road stays closed. So routes like Soweto Highway, Clistone Valley Road into the circle, all just heavily backed up as motorists get there. Realise they need to look for alternative routes. N3 north, the crash at Marlborough Drive is cleared, but the roadworks at Buccleuch is still there long term. Still heavy getting up from Alex through that one. Crash on Republic Road at Winnie Mandela. It's heavy on both of those routes. Bad backlogs coming out of Randburg on Republic, and pretty heavy on Winnie Mandela coming down from the Bryanston side as well this morning. Pretoria looks generally okay. Durban, the N2 running north. Now has a broken down vehicle after Spaghetti Junction. So that traffic that queues every morning up through the Westwood Mall roadworks is still heavy for this time of morning. If you're on your way north, you'll hit that queue just north of the M7 Bluff exit. Bit of traffic on the way to Pietermaritzburg, just around Kira Ridge. So we'll keep an eye on that. And there's a crash coming out of Pietermaritzburg before New England Road. So quite heavy traffic coming down from Chotamotala side down through Ortman Road and down towards that crash. Cape Town, collision N2 out of town at Jan Smuts. That's been cleared. Those delays have eased up. And the N1 is fairly busy this morning. A little bit unusual for this time to see traffic from Plattekloof Hill to Sable Road. Looks like there may be a broken down vehicle before the Sable exit. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Dowling, let's start in retail this time around and start with Boxer. Tell me about them and their expectation. They expect double-digit sales growth.
That's right, Sulas. Now, the retailer says trading picked up pace in the closing months of its half-year period, with turnover up 13.9%. Comparable store sales rose 5.3%, while food inflation in its business was slightly negative at minus 0.7% when stripping out volume effects. The performance was stronger than the 12.1% turnover growth and 3.9% like-for-like sales achieved in the first 17 weeks of the period. Now, the increase in sales is likely to boost its bottom line, and so Boxer expects earnings to be between 492 million and 539 million rand, which is flat to 9% higher than the 492 million rands posted a year earlier. However, another profit measure that investors find important, headline earnings per share, is projected to decline by as much as 36% due to once-off costs associated with Boxer's listing. Now, Boxer emphasized that the per share drop reflects the enlarged share base rather than weaker trading. A full picture of its performance will be out when it releases its results next month.
And I see that Nampak has got a new CEO.
Well, the search for a successor has come to an end. That's as the packaging group appointed Rian Hale as CEO from next year, following a period of leadership instability and ongoing restructuring. The move ends a turbulent succession process. Current CEO Phil Roux, who has been at the helm since 2022 through debt reduction and portfolio cuts, had been due to retire this month. His designated successor, COO Andrew Hood, resigned unexpectedly earlier this month for family reasons, forcing the board to extend Roux's tenure until a replacement was secured. Now, Hale most recently led PepsiCo South Africa, where he oversaw the integration of Pioneer Foods after its acquisition in 2020. He had previously worked with Roux as well at Pioneer. Nampak says Hale's appointment should provide much-needed stability as it continues its turnaround, focusing on strengthening margins, streamlining operations, and selective investment to continue to drive growth.
Lastly, Ntauleng, recap for us the markets as well as set the scene for us for the kind of trading day we can expect today.
So the JSE likely to start in the green, continuing to benefit from higher gold prices. It's a slow company news day, so traders will be eyeing global news. Meanwhile, on the currency front, the rand continues to make gains at 17.24 to the dollar. Over in the commodities scene, Brent still on the back foot as oversupply worries hit the market. It's sitting just above $66 per barrel this morning. And then back to equities, stateside futures are flat despite closing in the green yesterday. And then lastly, in Asia, markets likely to close the third quarter mostly in positive territory, with traders digesting manufacturing data out of China.
All right, Ntauleng, thank you for that. That's Ntauleng Lechela. That's it from her for today. Do look out for more of her insights tomorrow. All right.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
What's happening there? Hurricane Zalma Chibi? What's going on? Are the buttons not buttoning? All right, let's move on to the story. Supporters of the economic freedom fighters have gathered in large numbers outside the East London Magistrates Court, where their leader, Julius Malema, is awaiting judgment in a high-profile firearms case. The trial, which has spanned over 3 years, stems from allegations that Malema unlawfully discharged a firearm during a 2018 rally in Mdantsane in the Eastern Cape. Malema, who denies firing a real weapon, is being tried alongside his former bodyguard Adrian Snyman. Let's speak to Advocate Sithe Ngombane, who is a criminal lawyer and member of the Cape Bar. Good morning to you and thank you for your time. So I just want to start with the procedure and the manner in which the judgment is being delivered before we delve into the seriousness of the charges. Just the procedure, 7 hours of the magistrate yesterday reading out the evidence that was led, including questions and cross-examination, going to great length. Is that a usual thing? Does that happen a lot? And what purpose does it serve?
Good morning to us and good morning to the viewers. Firstly, there's nothing unprocedural, done by the magistrate yesterday. It's just that it's one of those cases where she has decided to go witness by witness, event by event, and that will form part, I think it's a crucial part, where she will be evaluating evidence and pointing out to the specifics. It's part of what a trial court, in particular in criminal courts, is normally done by judges or by magistrates. But procedurally, there's nothing wrong. It's just that what she has decided to do, she has decided to go, if I can say, word for word. And there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end, if you have listened to her, she said that somewhere when she was reading the evidence standard, she said that this will be important at a later stage. So you see why she has decided to look at that, because the courts are required by law. Jurisprudence tells us that a trial court must evaluate the evidence in its totality.
Yeah.
So she's now trying to sort of lay the basis and paint the picture of what really occurred. There was examination in chief, there was cross-examination, and now she's going to do evaluation and value judgment of what has been tendered so far.
So as tedious as it may appear for us lay people, it plays a certain role, this whole exercise that she's undertaking.
Of course. There's just that it's one of those matters where it might be the first case where a judgment was not completed on the same day, but procedurally, and there's nothing wrong, and it's not unlawful for the magistrate to have done what he or she decided to do yesterday.
So let's talk about the charges then that the EFF leader faces: unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, discharging a firearm in a built-up area, reckless endangerment to persons or property. How serious are these charges?
They are serious to us, and this also speaks to the modus operandi the magistrate had decided to take, in the sense that each and every count or charge must be supported by the evidence for the state, and if she's going to acquit the accused, there must be evidence that she did not find to support that particular charge. So it's important because the charges are very serious in nature, and all three of them, there must be particular evidence and specific evidence to each and every count for her to say at the end, I hereby convict the accused because the state has discharged the honors bestowed upon them by the law to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Let's talk about that. What pieces of evidence and testimony is likely to swing it one way or another? Let me just complete what I'm saying. The main defense from Julius Malema and his team is that the item he was carrying at Sisa Dugasha Stadium was not a real firearm, but a prop gun or a toy gun. Yes. Then you have the argument on the other side that says, well, there were muzzle flares that signal that it was a gun. Then yesterday I heard, as the magistrate was going through the evidence, talking about a spent cartridge that was found somewhere, and now the distance being measured, could it have been ejected from an actual firearm from where he was standing and gone? I think the distance is some 23 meters. So all of that level of detail going down those rabbit holes, what is likely to swing it one way or another from the evidence you heard?
It's so crucial, and at this point in time, I must be honest. My reading of the case and having at least followed the case, it hangs in a balance in the sense that if the defense says this was a lookalike, it was not a real firearm, they must have testified in line with that version, because remember, that is a version, and remember, in criminal law, in criminal trials, that version was put to the state witnesses. On this other side, you've got a state that says this was not a toy, it was a real firearm. So what needs to happen? If there's a cartridge found in the area, the question will be how far the cartridge was from the stage where Julius Malema would have stood, or would have stood to, to attend the speech or whatever the case is. But that will be crucial because there may be objective evidence that that cartridge is likely not the one that the state says it came out of the real firearm Julius Malema was carrying, due to the distance between the location of the cartridge and where Julius Malema was standing. Now, it's an important aspect because if that cartridge is tested and the state says it came from this firearm and it was tested and it matches, that may well be something else for the state insofar as they are having built their case on that. Because insofar as the toy gun is concerned, we don't expect the cartridge to come out. Do you understand? Because it's a toy gun. That's why I'm saying it's one of those matters that will have some complexities, and it's the nature of the criminal, trial where some of the things are, especially in cross-examination.
Yes.
Remember, there are some of the concessions made, there are some of the, evidence standard that you are like, that fell or that did not stand serious in the cross-examination. And cross-examination plays an important tool because it tests the veracity of that particular evidence. So within the prism of the case, it plays a crucial role.
All right, let's see how it all unfolds. The magistrate did give an indication that she believes that today may be the day when she's able to complete delivering her judgment. Thank you for your time this morning. Advocate Sithe Ngombane, who is a criminal lawyer and also a member of the Cape Bar.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
So you know what I haven't done diligently this morning is read back some of your messages that you've been sending. So let me do that, read one or two of them before I play your voice notes. I wanted to reflect on this one. Earlier on, there was a caller who was talking about the unions needing to be held to account for the corruption, such as what we are seeing at Tembisa Hospital. And I sort of challenged that version and said, there are officials who serve in the bid specification, bid evaluation, bid adjudication committees that are being investigated. And I sort of challenged the caller to say, can you really hold unions accountable for that? Well, someone else wanted to weigh in on that and says, Thulas, please check who influences the appointment of hospital CEOs and why. Which service providers fund unions? And therefore, that person taking it to that level to say there's always more to it than meets the eye. And we need to question some of the developments, such as the appointments that we see happening from time to time. Then someone else, Mike in Denelton, says there is no difference between Zondo Commission and Madlanga Commission. All right. Interesting take there. I do see the similarities in some of the issues. For instance, what is being raised around crime intelligence, that it was traversed to a certain extent, at the Zondo Commission as well. Someone else says, with regard to the inquiry of Madlanga, this is just a waste of time and taxpayers' money. The recommendations can't bind anyone. And that is Kagiso Linoke from Khasikhonyana. Says Khasikhonyana, corrupt municipality. I chuckle, but it's not laughter really. It is, what as I called it, incredulity. It's just unbelievable, some of the stuff we come across here in this country, some of the stuff that happens. All right, let me see. Someone says here, the problem is that many people in South Africa do not want to work, but want to live opulent lives that are unexplainable. We see their girlfriends, wives, and even their side chicks flaunting the stolen money on reality TV shows. Meanwhile, we work so hard just to barely survive while others steal successfully. Unfortunately, hard work is no longer fashionable in South Africa, and the so-called way to success seems to be through stealing, says this person here, reflecting on the conversation we've been having about the state and extent of corruption in the country. A voice note or two before I take your traffic update now.
Good morning, Tulas. Johnny from Jameson. My opinion is Ramaphosa and all the top 6 of the ANC, they're all involved in these syndicates. They're all part of this huge bullion stealing. They're all getting richer and richer, and they don't care about the poor. They're just there to enrich themselves. They're all part of the same syndicate, the ANC and all. Thank you.
Gore. Tulas, this excuse of so many games, of so many categories played does not stick and stay. If you are going to have a yellow card for the same player, once you have 2 or 3, you must be surprised where are they, then you must feature them. You must have a dashboard or spreadsheet, simple as that, where you are going to put the yellow card of this name, of this person under one team or under one category of players. Then all of them you will see if they are going to clash 2 or 3. This is an excuse that cannot be accepted. But anyway, maybe the appeal will be the protest should have been done during the game. That's the rules. So they may have a leeway there as well, because the protest must have been lodged before the game end.
Hey, Kore, I share your view. I don't know. In this age of technology, you mean to tell me you can't, as a manager, be able to track which player is on what card, suspension, returning, what injury, 7 months or no 7 months? Come on. We are in the age of technology. You should be able to track these things.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still some delays coming out of the top of Soweto. The major closure there is the Canada Road closed going to and from Main Reef Road. N17 appears again to be reopened. It was opened earlier and then closed again. But there's still a big backlog around the top of the Cliffstrait Valley Road and Soweto Highway as you come out of Soweto and look for alternative routes. It is getting a lot easier as the traffic levels ease up, but there are some disruptions there as well. The Mike 1, park down up to Caller Drive on your way to Sandton. Very slow northbound, southbound from Buccleuch. It's all heavy this morning, all the way down to Grayston. There's some traffic light issues at Grayston Drive. Also Republic Road and Winnie Mandela, that crash going into Sandton, still backlogging traffic on both of those roads. Behind that, Peter Place, quite slow as well. The N3 stays bad from Alex up into the double-lane closure at Buccleuch interchange. Just a bit of traffic building up on Pretoria's N1 South, coming down to Rigel Avenue. Looks like something's probably broken down or just crashed there. Durban's N2 running north, still heavy on the run between the M7 and Westwood Mall via Spaghetti Junction. There's a broken-down vehicle in the roadworks this morning. In Nunda Road from Parlock, stationary truck at the N2, so coming out of Newlands is heavy. And there's a breakdown, as we alluded to earlier this morning, around Key Ridge. The run after Shongweni up Key Ridge towards Cliffdale is heavily backed up. Cape Town this morning, fairly busy Tuesday. The N1 with plenty of traffic between Plattercliff Road and the city centre. Crash on Coburg Road, Brooklyn, holding up traffic coming through towards the N1 highway. And the M5 still under quite a bit of pressure, lining up from Rondebosch towards the N2 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Who's behind the mask? A singing pineapple? A disco dancing Dokolosh? It can only mean one thing. It's the Masked Singer US Season 9, the only show where celebrities hide behind wild costumes and even wilder vocals. Is that Beyonce? No. It's your dentist dressed as a giant taco. Unmask the madness, the mystery, and the mayhem. Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. on S3. S3's got the masks, the music, and maybe your favorite celeb in a flamingo suit. Don't miss it.
80 years of innovation, and we are just getting started. The CSIR, an entity that falls within the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, together with the global sustainable technology and innovation community, presents the CSIR at 80 GISTIC Conference in Pretoria from 8 to 10 October. Held under the theme Science, Technology and Innovation for a Sustainable Future, the conference brings together global change makers shaping solutions for a sustainable future. Catch SAFM live on Wednesday, 8 October for exclusive conversations shaping the future of sustainability. The CSIR, 80 years of touching lives through innovation.
Mzansi, Powerball stands at a staggering 100 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Tuesday. You heard right. Play Powerball now for your chance at the guaranteed 100 million rand jackpot, and you could become the next big winner. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Thulasizwe Simelane is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
I'll switch on the mic and your voice will be on air saying wrong things here. Hurricane Zalma. All right, let me go to Matebe in Mpumalanga. Good morning.
Good morning. I would to learn guys. Man. I don't know if this point they already touched it about Maumela. Who was the NEC for held? When was this thing happening of Maumela? This corruption web. If we can just check who was the NEC of held during that time.
Yeah.
And also, which political party is that NEC and Maumela associated with?
Yes.
And lastly, why are we so religious and corrupt at the same time? That's all.
I never thought of it that way, Matebe. You mean us as a society, as South Africans, both highly religious and highly corrupt?
At the same time. Why? I'll leave it there out to learn.
Sure, Matebe. Deep questions. Thank you for that. That's Matebe in Mpumalanga. Tabiso in Polokwane. Good morning.
No, that's very funny though.
Eh?
I even got scared of talking because
I know
religious people.
And now I'm moving from Matebe coming to you. I'm expecting you to pick up where Matebe left off. Do you have the answer?
No. But you see, Thulasizwe,
yeah.
I think we must be very happy as a country about our constitutional democracy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking that if we would have if the drafters of this constitution would have opted for parliamentary democracy, which of course the parliament at some point was found wanting,
yes.
You'd remember. I mean, that it was there in our court.
Yeah.
But now we have constitutional democracy, and we have a press freedom, wherein things that come out of the media ended up being investigated. We must be very excited about what is happening in our country, particularly the revelations that we are coming across. I mean, for an example, even those who have had a problem about the commission now, I think that they are quite very happy with the information we are receiving there.
Yeah.
The issue would therefore then be the actions that will come thereof.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, if the president would have just woke up and decided, oh, these are the allegations, let me fire the minister and everything goes. Oh, are we going to know? Are we going to know about the big five, which are controlling? We're not going to know, me and you.
Yeah.
We're just going to rely on things that are in the public. We must be very excited about what is happening and say that let's wait for the commission to end. And we hope and believe that serious decisions will be taken. But also it will go again into transformation of the security cluster and making sure that things like this not happen.
I get the point you're making. Thanks for that, Tabiso in Polokwane. Let me go to Zoe in Konge. Good morning to you, Zoe.
Yes, good morning, Tula.
Yes, good morning. You have something different on your mind?
Oh, no, the FIFA thing.
Yes, talk to me.
So first, what was my Matebe saying that you are highly religious and highly corrupt? Why was he saying that?
He says the levels of religion. You would think as people who are deeply religious as a society, we would push corruption very far from us, that it would be minimal in our society.
No.
Was posing a question.
Mixing things. No, he's mixing things. You think the cult that exists here, you think about the cult. There's a difference. A cult is the same as a cartel.
Yes.
You must be taught around that, because I know there's a cult, a deep cult in that province where the other churches originate from. Now, I feel that there's nothing to appeal against in the FIFA decision, Tulas.
Mm-hmm.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm listening. There's nothing to appeal.
Yeah,
Why do you say that?
there's nothing to appeal against. These guys, they get what they ordered. It's another waste of money. You can't not do the right thing and expect that you just go scot-free. That's exactly what they deserve. I knew from the beginning. I don't know about the FIFA rules and football, but I knew because we trust them that they are the ones who know who not to field.
Yeah,
at a particular time. For example, we are heading towards. We heard about Spanda. That's the Panda. FIFA said they don't want the Panda.
Yes.
They are going to do that in the future to put somebody who says Panda in the field. There's no need. We can put the Panda out, take off the Panda and get into the field.
Yeah.
These guys, they must not waste money in appeal. There's nothing to appeal against because there are no grounds for appeal.
All right, Zoe, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you. That's Zoe out in Kongwe, bringing us to the end of today's edition of the Morning Brief. Thank you for your robust and healthy engagement through it all over the last 3 hours. The Talking Point is up next here on SAFM after the news with Ann Musa. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane, and you've been briefed.
In our top stories, Cabinet Lekgotla of the Government of National Unity and AGOA uncertainty sparks job fears in Africa. Good morning. The second Cabinet Lekgotla of the Government of National Unity for the year kicks off at the Safako Makgatu Presidential Guest House in Pretoria later this morning. The two-day meeting brings together ministers and their deputies from the 10 GNU parties, premiers, directors general and leadership of the South African Local Government Association. Ntebo Mukobo has more.
Their two-day Cabinet Lekgotla will set government's priorities, review progress on key programs and align strategies across national departments. Ministers will use this gathering as a platform to coordinate policies, assess among other service delivery performance and the country's readiness to host the G20 summit, as well as discussing measures to strengthen governance, economic growth and social development. The outcomes of this Cabinet Lekgotla will make inputs into the medium-term budget policy statement or mini-budget scheduled for the 12th of November. The meeting will also inform government's policy direction and legislative agenda for the coming months.
Crime Intelligence Head General Dumisani Khumalo will continue giving evidence at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. Yesterday, he told the Commission that they've identified 5 individuals who are part of a cartel that has allegedly penetrated the political sphere. The Big Five cartel, as he terms it, is alleged to have syndicates operating under it. He says the cartel is operating throughout the country with its headquarters in Gauteng. Khumalo says arrested individuals such as Vuzimuzi Kat Matlala and Katiso Mulife have been identified as members of the Big Five.
The Big Five has already penetrated the political sphere, and there are documented cases of high-profile connection